Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Iron Canon podcast, your home for in-depth discussion on lore, the High Republic, and the whole canon of the galaxy far, far away. Welcome to the year 2025. Welcome to our year-in preview episode. My name is Matthew. I'm coming to you, as always, from the Underworld North Studio here in Toronto. I'm joined from across the continent by your friend and mine, Mr. Joel Davis. Joel, it's been a bit. How's it going? How's your
It
holidays, etc.?
it's going good. It's going well.
There we go. The cat has entered the building, has entered the chat.
Yes,
There we
there.
go. Right on. Yeah, welcome to 2025. It promises to be a stellar year for the whole canon of the galaxy far, far away. On this first episode of the year, we break down everything to look forward to over the next 12 months, from Andor Season 2 to Star Wars Celebration Japan to the looming end of the High Republic Initiative, and a party for certain goat of a film that came out 20 years ago. We've got you covered, but let's get to the plugs. First off, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. And then more actively, you can follow us on Blue Sky at just ironcannon.bsky.social. I think that's how it works. Just look up Iron Cannon, AYEONCANON. Also, immediately after this episode, immediately after we finish recording, I will throw this episode up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If audio only is more your speed, if you're speeding, as if you're driving, or if you're walking, or if you're doing something else that doesn't allow you to watch something, then we got the or if you just prefer to sit and listen to a podcast, all good. We got you covered there on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. We are, of course, proudly part of the Star Wars Underworld podcast network. So here on the YouTube channel, we have memberships, we have super chats. So obviously, if you chime in, you've commented in, we'll get to the comments as best as we can, as soon as we can. If you super chat, we'll get to it immediately. So we're grateful for any support you can provide to the channel, to the network, etc. Also, of course, the Star Wars Underworld Discord server. Down in the description below, we've got a minty fresh link that lets you into our Discord server. As long as you're chill, you're good. You treat people respectfully. Honest, real opinions are a fair game. Kindness is fair game. Unkindness is not. But generally speaking, we do cultivate a really positive, welcoming community. And so credit Joel to you and Ben especially for maintaining that, keeping that going for a while now. It's been a while. Got any events coming up? I believe you have one coming up soon.
Um,
I
I
think
would
it's a
probably
game
just do a
night.
game night on
Yeah,
Friday, like usual. Have a nice New Year. We had one last Friday as
nice.
well. Bit of a low, kind of
Sure.
not a lot of people there. But outside of that, yeah, nothing super big. Just probably game night on Friday, so
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah, it's good. Always a good time to chime in, chat if you want. I just randomly chimed in the other night because Tyler, a friend of Tractor Beam, was popped into the audio chat and said, "Hey, I'm going to talk about comics." And so that was a good conversation. Speaking of Tractor Beam, what is the Tractor Beam? Tractor Beam Comics reviews every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Underworld YouTube channel and Twitch and Iron Cannon Twitch. We talk about the comics. Chris Abbott and I talk about the books that came out that day. Of course, we're picking up on a book that came out last week as well on January 1st, Last Stand #1. Actually, we should probably go into what came out Christmas Day too. I think something may have come out of Christmas Day. I'm trying to rack my brain here. We'll pick up all the comics we missed over the break there. So Last Stand 1 and 2, Echoes of Fear #4. The finale does come out on Wednesday, so please do check that out as well. Oh, that reminds me to get the thumbnail sorted. Thanks for that reminder, internet. Yeah, please do check that out. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific this coming Wednesday, because Wednesdays are for comics and comics are for Wednesdays. And Chris and I always have a great discussion over there on the Tractor Beam. I think that does it for plugs. I'll pick those up again at the end. But yeah, first off, we're not doing our weekend Star Wars. We're doing a our holidays in Star Wars, specifically holiday gifts, Christmas gifts, or whatever, Hanukkah gifts, whatever you want to call it, Kwanzaa. I don't know who, whatever you celebrate, however you celebrate. If it involves gifts, if it involves Star Wars gifts, we want to hear about it. We want to know in the chat, in the comments. Let us know if you got any fun Star Wars presents. Joel, did you pick up anything? I know you mentioned it. Yeah.
Yes, I did. If you see in my background, can't really see it that well, but I have here Andor season 1 DVD, and then I also got the Kenobi
Sweet.
steelbook as well. That was really cool,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm wearing it right now.
There we
This
go. There he
Thrawn,
is.
nice
There's
Thrawn
the guy.
T-shirt right here. So I
Yeah.
got that. I have a little Thrawn action figure in my room. I wasn't able
Nice.
to get, and thinking. Oh, I got Thrawn Alliances, the comic book. Have that there,
Mm-hmm.
and but that was it. Everything else was just kind of history books and whatnot. So
Yeah. Do you like the blue guy? Do you have an affinity for Mr. Blue?
yes,
You do. There we go. Good to know. Good to know. I think it was your aunt who got those. You mentioning that.
yeah.
Pretty
So I
cool.
got a bunch. So I got
Mhm.
so I got all that stuff. And oh wait, oh I forgot. I don't think I can show it, but it's like I also got the Book of Boba Fett. Not the Book of Boba Fett. The Mandalorian season 3. Oh wait, that's the first season. Or I got the first season. So yeah,
Nice. Is that
that's
also the DVD? Like those are the steelbacks, right?
yes, I got all the
Yeah.
steelbacks. I am
Okay.
collecting them.
Yeah. I should maybe someone pick maybe with the Ahsoka stillback. I should get that.
It's
I
the
mean, yeah,
last
like
one.
physical media hasn't gone anywhere. Especially that's an interesting thought. This is a bit of a tangent that we may or may not have time for. As as Star Wars goes back to the theaters and becomes a theater first film first franchise, obviously they'll pop on Disney Plus. I mean, we can count on that, but are people gonna go back to buying Blu-rays and buying all these things more than we used to? Because like I know I'll want for every film release, I'm gonna want the Blu-ray for every film release. I was gonna I'm gonna get when Wicked Part 2 comes out. Like there's some films where I'm just like I would just love it enough. Like Barbie. I got the 4K Blu-ray. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know. What do you just a bit of this is just a random tangent. What do you think about that? What do you think about the return of physical media?
Oh, that'd be nice. Actually, speaking of physical media, that's
Mhm.
also on my shelf. I also got Godzilla -1
Nice.
Blu-ray as well,
Yeah,
and that's on Netflix. Um,
sure.
yeah, I mean, I think companies should milk that. People are totally gonna double dip. Even
Mhm.
if they have Disney Plus, I think people will buy them. If you make them, they will come.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know for myself, but I'm cheap, so I gotta. I'm a little bit at. I am
Mhm.
a stingy spender. I do not buy a lot of DVDs in general because I barely use them. Um, but I know in terms of a lot of people who do still use DVDs, I'm
Mhm.
sure lots of people would buy Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie.
Right.
Uh, insert whatever Ray film happens next, the
Mhm.
movie Blu-ray. Filoni movie, the DVD, the Blu-ray.
Filoni the movie.
The Bluey, Filoni, the movie, about
Yes.
Filoni and his love of wolves. Yeah. So I
Right.
think that they should
Mm.
totally do that because I think, yeah,
Mhm.
people would totally buy that and have Disney Plus
Yeah.
and see the theater. So why not? I
It
say
might
go
be
for it.
yeah. It might be a bit of a niche collectible still, but vinyl was a niche collectible, and now it's completely taken off. Yeah, just a few weeks ago, Din from F105 Music and we went to a record store that's booming. It's literally called Sonic Boom, but it's thriving. Uh, and so yeah, we thought vinyl would go the way of the dinosaur, but no, I mean we double up. I do Spotify and vinyl mainly. So anyway, I got a bunch of gifts to go through.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Some of these I got for myself. I'll
Uh-huh.
mention those, but not quite. This one. This is really great. This my mom just cross stitched this,
Aw, that's
and I
awesome.
think like it's a card holder, and there's a gift card in here.
Oh,
But
nice.
she told me what this was originally, then I forget. But she kind of modified it to make it a Grogu kind of
Well,
thing,
that's cute. I like
and
that.
then uh, the iconic Ahsoka. So we're still going with the ornaments here.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna throw that onto the tree. There you go. And then Toys R Us. So our Toys R Us is also going the way of American Toys R Us, I think. And so there was a massive sale, the local one near where I grew up. So I snagged two things. I snagged some other things, but uh
Ooh, nice.
this guy here, this Afra set was $15 Canadian. This Black Series. This guy was like 30,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Nice.
The Micro Galaxy Squadron. I really love the Micro Galaxy Squadron. It's prohibitively expensive for the quality generally, and incredibly rare and hard to find these things. But I really enjoy the MCG because I'm a ship guy. What can I
Nice.
say? I'm gonna try and put this down nicely so I don't drop it. There you go.
May.
Also, you can see this. Tell this was a sale. I otherwise wouldn't have had interest in playing Squadrons, but it was what, $4.
Oh,
So
nice.
I might try it for $4. Why not? And then a few months back, I think I mentioned this. We went to a Lego show, basically a little Lego convention
Ooh, I love
called Bricks
those.
in the Six, and so we're gonna pick this up. There we go. So they were also selling Legos. So got
Oh, that's
this
cool.
Droidica. Hopefully not with that racist accent, but Droidica, and it does curl up.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
So
That's
it's
nice.
pretty sweet. Good old
Destroyer droids.
yeah. Finishing off the Phantom Menace, so we can check out the 25 years. I mean, I got it in 2024, so Phantom Menace 25 party. Finished that off, a month or so late, but that's okay. Got it in, it's a 2024 release, so yeah, happy about that. Then I got a bunch of other things like a Taylor Swift calendar, my Star Trek ships calendar, which I get every year.
Nice.
Some chocolate. There you go.
Yummy.
So, yeah, so pretty good haul. Hopefully you got a good haul as well. Again, anyone watching wants to let us know in the comments down below what you got. Funny story, Dom got the exact same Lego so
Oh, nice. You can
we're
have
gonna
two.
you have two just randomly right there next to our next to my gunship, my massive, the one that's Lego and considerably more larger scale than this. It used to be in the background of the podcast. If you go back, or maybe episodes about maybe 2 years ago, and I don't know if would it be on this channel or be on the other channel? I used to have it like right here
Oh,
on the
nice.
table. So yeah, it's in the living room now. So anyway, good good haul. Happy about what we got, and so yeah, fun times again.
Ooh.
In the description, let us know. We like engagement. Engage with us.
Yes, engage with us.
um all right, let's move right along. We haven't been able to do much of eyes on screen for Skeleton Crew. Definitely the flagship has carried the banner all the way through the break. They kept going. We took a break, but so we can catch up on Skeleton Crew episodes 5 and 6. You have a lot to learn about pirates and Zero Friends again. So Joel, I'll throw this to you. What do you think of these episodes?
Oh, they were great. I really enjoyed them. Really moving the plot along. We now know the mystery, what's on at Atten.
Yeah,
Basically, it's a mint. It's where they make the money.
yeah.
Ferry is Fort Knox. No, wait,
Mhm.
Fort Knox is not. Is Fort Knox a mint or just the place where they
I
store the
think it's a
gold?
bank. I think Fort
Like,
Knox is a bank.
but-
Something. Yeah, you go ahead. Leave it.
right. You know, kind of a turning point when Jod, turns on the kids.
Yeah.
Really, that was a tense moment for all. And I really liked knowing a little bit about KB and her situation, which is quite,
Mhm.
quite interesting. Very, her brain nerves don't work, and she
Yeah.
needs droid implants or something in her brain. Her brain's the computer now. I guess all brains are computers. It's like a real computer
Yeah.
to function, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah, overall very interested to see what the final two episodes are.
Mhm.
We're time for the final act. The kids are going home, and a bunch of pirates are coming with them,
Yeah.
whether they want to or not. So, very curious to see what happens. This is very Treasure Island for anybody who's a fan of that classic
Hmm.
novel, or Treasure Planet if you're a fan of the Disney version, which I am. Uh, hey, that's it's underrated Disney film.
Yes.
No one talks about it enough. It's really good.
Hmm.
And Jod is our Long John Silver
Hmm.
of the group. So yeah, I have my suspicions of where it could all go in the end, but looking
Hmm.
forward to seeing the final two.
Yes. Uh, when he finally turned on the kids, I mean, they did a great job of playing it. Will he? Won't he? A little bit in what's the extent of his compassion for them. Turns out, I mean, obviously he wasn't probably actually going to harm them because but like the
Who
story
knows?
would.
He-
I mean, well, who knows? I mean, he would have probably figured out a way to defeat them without that, but
I don't
um,
think he wanted to, like in an evil way.
he
Like I,
definitely didn't want to. Like he was like to Fern, just yield.
Mhm.
Except then he would have had E3, what's his name? SM33. That's his name.
Right.
Uh, like detain them at least for
Mhm.
mutiny. Yeah, it's a good. That was a good character story for Jod. It was that episode in episode 5 and showing us again the depth, but also the depth of he's willing to go. Another pseudonym, another alias in his backstory, and his ability to navigate that underground lair. really, really, yeah, suspenseful, and they really built that up well.
Right.
I think he's possibly, I suspect he's kind of relieved that they escaped anyway. Um, I mean, even though like they can cause trouble for him
Right.
later on. That's my hope. At least I kind of hope for the best for him a little bit. I think we are gonna. I the one kind of spoilery thing I kind of heard is that we are gonna get. I mean, social media. I can't avoid it. We are gonna get a bit of his backstory, a bit more of his backstory next episode.
Ooh,
Which I hope it isn't a full on flashback. I mean, I loved it in Acolyte. Obviously, I can't stop talking about that.
you can have an actually, but I don't even consider those flashbacks. I just consider them episodes in the past.
Sure. Yeah, the episode set in the past. That's true. I hope it isn't like that. I hope might be more.
A flashback with actually
Yeah,
present day
and him kind of
storyline. Still be
telling the
good.
story a little bit. Only because again, we got that with Acolyte. Uh, so it might feel a bit overdone derivative. So it'll be interesting to see what story they choose, how they choose to tell it. Then episode 6, yeah, I mean, to get that depth of a disability story on
Mhm.
screen was just the experience, the relational tension that folks go through. To say, oh, I can't admit that I can't do this. I have to just hope my friend can understand that, or she'll just go on ahead without me, which is mostly what Fern ends up doing, to a point.
Mhm.
And so, I loved that this didn't move the plot much at all. And I admit I felt I loved wrestling with the frustration of it. I felt like, oh, this doesn't move the plot forward at all, the big plot. But then, oh right, I got to be a better fan than that. Uh, Huge character bonding,
Yeah.
especially with KB and Wim, right? Huge character bonding between them that we just didn't get. Just the journey that they've gone on to come together
Mhm.
as a team over the last few weeks or however long this is set. Definitely over the last few episodes. Yeah, it's tremendous because at the beginning,
Mhm.
they had cooties, right?
Yeah.
Boys versus girls. Uh, Now it just even knowing that, okay, the way the teams were going to split up, obviously Neil wasn't going to be able to keep up with Fern. Um, but yeah, then to see this, well, also to see Fern helping Neil, and then of course they don't make it, and well, the ship goes kablam, and then yeah, especially, I mean, the key moment. I mean, so if episode 4 was Neil's episode, I mean, episode 6 is definitely KB's episode, but a lot with Wim. And notice we're talking about characters here. We're talking about their character growth. So, uh, yeah, great to yeah, great episode, great moment. I suspect again the next 2 episodes are going to push the story forward. It does need to happen eventually. It just needed to get to this point with the characters coalescing as a family to get to that.
Yeah, I guess if you want to do a little speculation before tomorrow,
Mhm.
what are we feeling
24 hours.
about Jod's backstory? Is he another Order 66 survivor who really gone off the deep end? Did he just know a Jedi? Did he find like some holocrons and Qui-Gon was in the
Mhm.
recording one day doing his little spiel? Because it's
Mhm.
like how do you know Qui-Gon's sayings of like
Yeah,
your focus determines your reality? I mean, I'm sure he said that to other people with like how do you know that exact saying, or is that just a saying a lot of Jedi use, which is always
yeah.
possible.
Well, good question.
I'm just kind of curious. It's like especially because we don't really know Jod's age, and when it comes to age in Star Wars, they could be playing a
Mhm.
lot younger or older than the actual actor is.
Well,
Jude Law's.
how old is Jude Law?
I want to say he's like in his early
He's
50s.
52.
Yeah, so if he's
Yeah,
52 years old in real, and if Jod is 52 as well, like, well, yeah, that's plenty of time to be
yeah,
in the order at least a little bit before
yeah.
things go
True.
south. So it's
Mhm.
kind of I don't want to necessarily say actor age equal character age all the time, but at the same time, 'cause, Jude
Mhm.
Law's pretty useful. He looked pretty good. He's a
Yeah,
good
it's
looking.
true.
He's a good looking dude. And
Mhm.
also like other characters as well. Like I swear to you, if you ever watch TFA, I swear I feel like Kylo Ren is supposed to be a lot younger in that movie than Adam Driver's actual age. Before they actually
Interesting.
give a confirmed age.
Yeah.
I
He definitely
swear.
plays him the sniveling,
Well, not just
the
that.
Anakin Luke.
Well, not just that.
That's
I
yeah,
feel like they wanted to make Ray and Kylo the same age, so just in case. But
true.
Ray's 18 and Kylo was like in his 30s.
Yeah.
By officially,
Mhm.
by the Lord, by at least before after TFA. So yeah,
Which means that is Ray half his age plus 7 in Rise of Skywalker when they suck face.
yes, because Ray's only 18. Because that Ray's only 18 throughout the whole sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I'm being silly, but
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm curious. Is
Mm,
Jod like
mhm.
like an Order 66 survivor, and this is a kind of
Yeah.
a new take on what happens to Order 66 survivors.
Yeah.
Which if it is, I can go into that later. But it's a very interesting take for sure.
Mhm.
It's even different than say a Balin, who's like Balin's still kind of he's a
Yeah.
dark side knight, but he's still got the knight part
Yeah.
and Cal and Caden kind of just go become regular dudes for a little bit before they got to get back in the saddle. And John just decided, I'm just gonna be a pirate. I'm gonna go yo ho, a pirate's life for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have like he doesn't even have like any regal knightness to him. It's just
True.
full on yarg. So if
Yep.
that's the case, but they might not do Order 66 Survivor. I don't want to psych
Yeah.
myself up too much for that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, speaking of comics, we'll get to lots of comic news coming in hot. Chris here asks, do you think we'll see some familiar Jedi in a flashback? I mean, I do wonder if something about Qui-Gon, but some real taking Qui-Gon's rogue sort of, oh, who cares about the council? Not that he doesn't care about the council, but maybe Jod in his youthful arrogance misinterprets that. Misinterprets who cares about authority in the middle of a war. War can do some wild things, as we saw with Ahsoka in Ahsoka. Um, so just thinking about maybe, yeah, maybe they're all about the same age in that time period. So maybe, or maybe here's the thing we haven't seen. What if he ended up kind of on the separatist side of things, just accidentally or on purpose, or we've never seen. We don't know. I mean, yeah, obviously the whole galaxy was within the Jedi catchment area, if you will. Although we'll get to that in a few weeks. Um, but uh, what if there was a force user, more higher force sensitives,
Mhm.
you know, on the other side of things, not necessarily Sith, or just they were Jedi, maybe maybe left or something. Just he doesn't have, because that's the thing. What we've seen. Here's what we've seen so far. We've seen with Cal. We've seen more than anyone with Ahsoka. Uh, we've seen with
Don't forget
Kanan too.
Caden.
Yeah, we've seen with Kanan.
Balin. Don't got
Yeah, and Balin too. You can take the Jedi out of the Order, but can you take the Order out of the Jedi?
right.
And Jod, if Jod was in the Order, then this is the most thoroughly it's been taken out of him.
Right.
And so I wonder if there's some other thing that's in his backstory has nothing to do with the Order at all. I don't know. It just we've never seen someone that far removed, and so in
That's
terms of what he does and what he cares about and how he goes about his business. And
right.
so, and maybe it's just because all the other stories we've seen are return stories and redemption stories in their own way. I do think
Except Balin.
Balin in a way still might be. I know they're recasting, right? So
I hope. I don't know. I hope so.
that's
But
what I heard.
okay, I hope so. I hope so.
I don't know where I heard that. I know I heard that somewhere in my noggin. Yeah, he's still. I mean, he's still. Well, even everything with Shin, like you're saying, like he still has that kind of discipline. He's the one who probably makes her wear the Padawan braid, right? He cares about Mortis, and he knows about Mortis and the Mortis gods.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, again, Ahsoka, that beautiful episode 5 is about her really coming back to herself as a Jedi, fully. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a great question.
I have one more theory, and then we can move on.
Mhm.
It's kind of funny one too, but honestly, it fits with Jod's character.
Yeah.
What if he's a Jedi flunky? What if he just like failed Jedi school and got kicked out? Like he could do some
Yeah.
Force, but he wasn't that good. Because
I
here's
like
the
that.
thing: there are actual in Legends.
Yeah.
There were actual stories of like kind of Jedi flunkies, and they
Mhm.
had this whole thing called like I want to say it's called the Peace Corps, but I might be wrong. But it's like there's a service corps, which
Yeah.
is kind of like they don't like this is where
Yeah.
kind of partial younglings who never really got to actual Jedi school got to go because they didn't have a place to go after they couldn't make it. They didn't get
Mhm.
masters and they didn't have enough force power. So like you can go
Sure.
in the service corps and still help out the Jedi. It's just you're not going to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
You're just kind of still, but you're still in the service of the temple and the order. So it's kind of
Well,
like
the Temple
you're
Guards, I think, were like that.
as maybe a little bit like that too.
Yeah, a
I
little
think
bit.
even worse than the temple guards. I feel like the temple guard
Yeah.
got more stuff to do. So it's like these are people who can barely do force powers. So maybe he
Yeah.
was like a Jedi flunky, and Jaw was like, screw you guys, I'm out of here. And then
Yeah. I
piracy,
think
and he
sure.
just a little bit of his own force power that he can still like lift things and take things.
I mean, it seems like he is more adept. I want maybe to build on that theory, and I do like that idea.
Mhm.
Not in terms of talent, but in terms of character, flunky out. So
That-
where it comes to mind, that would build on Osha nicely, I think. In that, here's another troubled kid
Mhm.
who just couldn't handle the discipline, couldn't handle the tradition and the weight of the tradition. We kind of couch it in terms of couldn't handle, was constrained by the rigidity of the order, but the character move is that couldn't handle the discipline and the tradition, and maybe uh during the war takes Qui-Gon's message again, misinterprets it, um to say, well, I'm gonna go off and serve myself then. I mean, because you could probably there's a point where you could probably get kicked out of the order. I mean, Ahsoka, was falsely accused, of course, but you could be a Padawan could get kicked out.
Mhm.
Um, you know, a knight or a master getting kicked out is an even bigger deal. Uh, but yeah, I wonder about something like that, and that the order was yanked from him.
That's possible. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
possible. Again, like you said, it's like all the other
Mhm.
Jedi, even Balin, who's kind of I'll call him a fallen Jedi for sure.
Yeah, it's a good way to
He's
put it.
still got a lot of the the order in him. He's like, he's got a Padawan pretty much in Shin, and he's got that kind of disciplined regality, even though he's still using the dark side, probably. But I don't even know if he considers himself using the dark side. But he's definitely got like, he is a knight, a mercenary knight, but he's still kind of like, very honorable and in his own kind of twisted way, probably. Whereas Josh just like glug glug glug, it's like, I don't care. Gold, yeah, go for it. Like there's no when he acts all Jedi, it's all kind of pretend almost. Although I will say this, and then I'll drop it. But my brain.
We'll move on. Yeah.
I will say I think his advice to Wim was more genuine, at least in his head, than at the beginning. Where I say like the beginning, he's kind of playing up like the pretend Jedi of like,
sure,
use the Force, my mind. Ooh. Whereas like with Wim, it's like, I feel like he either is going back to advice he heard and just like giving his own interpretation of it. I think that's exactly what he's doing, giving his own interpretations of it and thinks like, oh, this is some good advice, and a little bit of genuine. So that's kind of interesting. But I'll.
It's good questions. Good questions. But yeah, we'll find out a little bit in 24 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. Alrighty. I think we can move on to our main topic, Star Wars in 2025. Will you take it away?
Yes, Star Wars 2025. Woohoo! What a year to begin. What a year to begin. And I think the best way to start the discussion is kind of focus on a bit of a theme that I at least see. Maybe you don't. Maybe the audience will or not. I don't know. I consider 2025 as a year of transition. Now, what do I mean by a year of transition? I've been talking about this for almost 2 years, maybe a year and a half. I sort of see a lot of things. This doesn't just apply to Star Wars. This applies to kind of everything. We have pre-strike and post-strike, PS and AS. Where you had the kind of the streaming bubble and everything kind of going around with that. You have then a big shift with the strike, and now we're kind of transitioning out of that. And I say we're transitioning because Andor, Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and this applies to stuff with Marvel too. All of this was made before the strike, but they're just getting it out now because they still have it and gotta do with something with it.
Yeah.
You're seeing this with Marvel, where their after strike thing will be Fantastic Four. DC's gonna have its after strike kind of final reset now this
after
year.
Strike. There's a funny after strike.
After strike. That sounds like a video game. After strike thing with Superman. Although Creature Commando also kind of counts. But let's face it, Superman, that's going to be the real kicker here. No against Creature Commando. I know it's great, but it's Superman that matters. And Star Wars still is kind of in transition because Mandalorian Grogu is not till next year. So obviously, in terms of screen stuff, we have Andor. But even things that kind of were never affected by the strike either way, also are kind of transitioning still. We have obviously the end of the High Republic. We have the end. We're kind of still in transition for the comics. We don't know what the main line is just yet. Although we do have a Vader coming next month, which I'm excited for. We'll get to that in a second. So in a lot of ways, kind of everything is still kind of in transition. We're still kind of, the next kind of phase really doesn't begin until next year. So we're kind of still in this interesting transitional moment, which kind of harkens back in a lot of ways to me to 2014 in a weird way. Maybe not as big, because obviously that was a way bigger deal where it's sort of like, okay, we're transitioning out of Lucas and Legends to the new canon with Rebels, TFA, new books and whatnot, and new comics too with back in those days. So it's kind of reminiscent of that. Not the same vibe, obviously. I don't think you can ever recapture that ever again for a variety of reasons. But I would say that 2025 is very much a thematic year of transition. But what about you? What do you, Matthew? What do you say to this?
There's the strike. So there's the strike, and there's also this other major thing that was even more impactful was COVID. And,
that too.
I mean, during COVID, it really hit perfectly for Disney somehow for streaming services. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, don't worry. But that
Stuff
was
happens.
it was the high watermark for streaming services generally,
Mhm,
and now you know, we all had to stay in our homes. We all had to
mhm,
mask up and social distance or physical distance or whatever. And uh, now we want to gather. We want to go to these big events. We want. I mean, cons are as big as now as they were before COVID, right? Um, and so that means we want the big panels and the big announcements, and that's another thing we're going to get into with a certain celebration happening on the other side of the world. And we're all, well, but no, we are, but a whole bunch of
I
people are
wish.
going to go gather on the other side of the world, on the other side of the Pacific Ocean for a convention. So all that is another bit that points to, again, like I mentioned, I've finally come over to saying yes, it's going to be Star Wars is going to be primarily again an in theater film franchise first.
Mhm.
Yes, the streaming shows will have the discipline of continuity. However it is, I doubt they're going to go back to cable, an appointment watch. There's still that model's still enough, but it's going to be driven by even the streaming shows are going to be driven by the films
Mhm.
and and the content of them, and they're going to probably be tie-ins to them, and uh we're just moving towards that.
Mhm.
Also probably going to draw down on the amount of shows,
Oh,
and
and we
so
are this year, so
we are already. So um that, I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, other franchises. I'm wondering, what my childhood franchise is going to do. Whenever I bring it up, yeah, I mean, uh
especially with Paramount and like
Paramount,
taking a
CBS,
decline.
everything going on there, yeah. There's going to be a direct to Paramount Plus movie coming out with Oscar winner Michelle Giorgio coming out. Michelle Yeoh coming out. Empress Giorgio. So the Section 31. I'm talking about Star Trek. They got the Star Trek reference counter up.
Mhm,
Um, and so yeah, a whole bunch of things are just. I mean, I'm sure it's not up in the air. They have it planned, but you're right. This is
mhm,
this is a big transition, and I
mhm,
think on the paper side, I wonder if it almost seems like a coincidence that it's happened this way. In that, I mean, High Republic was always going to be planned to end around this time. Uh, the the Return of the Jedi, or the Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi, the Hansicle was going to end, uh, a few months ago, and we have a bunch of books, a bunch of short runs, and
mhm,
it's some long runs kicking off.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, it's you're right. It's definitely. I mean, it's exciting. It's interesting. We trust they're gonna give us, um, maybe not in terms of quantity, but if they aren't going to give us quantity, it means they're going to give us quality, and that's one of the big lessons from the streaming service. Speaking of Din, I mentioned
Tomb.
Din. Shout out to him. He was talking about this in person. He was just on Facebook. He was chatting about how there's just too much, and it doesn't let us, and they aren't letting us uh, sit with the characters and sit with the stories enough. What if the Acolyte was the only Star Wars that came out last year and this year? And what if there was nothing either way? Just say
Mhm.
another thing about the Acolyte, right? What if that was it?
This applies for every show, by the way. I think we could make an argument
True,
about that.
true. But then what if that was it? And then we got to sit with it and got to get more used to it. Got to maybe get over some of our initial reactions to it. The folks who were never going to get over their initial reactions to it, whatever. But what if
Mhm, mhm,
uh, let that breathe some more? Uh, would there be an appetite for season two? Both, or an appetite for a film? What if that was a film, and would there be an appetite for a sequel? All these things. So just to say, yeah, we're moving. I hope they've learned their lesson. It happens to be more profitable. Is what I know. I know your comment. You're right to point that out. right? That's the thing Bob Iger cares about the most. That's his job to care about the most. It's Kathy Kennedy's job to care about both at the same time, and she's done a great job caring about both the profitability of what of the the what brings it in, but also the quality output. And um, so yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say I think. I mean, Marvel kind of has this too, but I wonder if Marvel's built a little differently. Um,
Mhm.
and DC is also built differently, so maybe they can both kind of get away with
DC
it.
is building anew is another
Built
thing.
things new, but
Yeah.
what's interesting is, at least on the streaming side, I what Din says, I think he's correct, but also I think he's correct not just in terms of there's too much,
Mhm.
but you notice every time we get a new streaming show, we have to
Mhm.
start over, right?
Yeah.
It's like season one of the Mando. It'd be like if we got season one of the Mando, season one of Kenobi. It's like we got to start all over again. Where
Mhm.
for at least those first 2 years, it was like season one of the Mando, and then the year after, season two of the Mando. So we kind of
Right.
got we got it both. We had to only wait a year, which was nice. And
Mhm.
then we got season two right away, and it was just us focusing on this one thing, this one storyline with the helmet guy and the baby.
Mhm.
And we all loved it. Well, most yeah, we all loved it. And then we went to Book of Boba Fett. That's a bit. That's a kind of a different thing. But see, 2022, we got Book of Boba Fett. That
Yeah.
kind of only works because again, it's spinning off of the Mandalorian.
Mhm.
So, but it's again, we start over. We have to kind of like reset our kind of our story brain, not even our
Mhm.
expectations, but our story brain. Like, okay, new characters, new thing, new storylines, and then Kenobi. Again, we got to reset.
Mhm.
Although those were pretty big, but again, I think they also had the weight of these are movie characters, so we don't
Yeah.
have to work that hard to getting new. Andor, there we go. We have to reset again, and then we have to kind of get our brains back in anew. Mando season three, thankfully it had the buffer of 2 seasons in the Book of Boba Fett of show to kind of like, okay, we're back to these guys. I missed you, Dinger, and
Mhm.
um
Yeah.
uh, and then Ahsoka. I know it's a spin-off to Mando, but I do feel like it was detached enough, unless you're a Rebels fan, that again you got to reset yourself, and it's like, oh, new characters. Who are these
Mhm.
people? And then Acolyte, you go, got to reset myself again. Wait, new era now. Oh gosh. And I wonder if and I wonder, and I don't know this maybe, and then Skeleton Crew again. We got reset. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
So, and I do wonder, and like this could be a movie thing, this could be a streaming thing. I don't know if you can do that kind of jumping around with the movies and kind of like just
Mhm.
kind of always reset the clock
Yeah.
every in movie installment. I don't really know. Uh, but with maybe a series, maybe it is just good to have one storyline in a series and just dedicate the next 3 seasons. So it's like, okay, this is your storyline, love it or hate it. This is our Star Wars for the next 3 years on TV. And then when you're done, then we'll switch. Instead of every year, it's like, okay, now these fans can get something and these fans can get something. Like maybe just focus on one thing for 3 years,
Yeah.
even if you hate it. Like, even if you hate it, and then, then after that, then we'll switch up and then maybe you'll get something else you like. Um,
Mhm.
like even the sequel trilogy saga is like, again, at least you were able to follow a storyline for 3 movies. Regardless of how that turned out in the end. At least we had 3 years where it's like, okay, Ray, Finn, and Poe for 3 to 6 years. And then Rogue One kind of lucked out and Solo didn't. Although that's a whole bunch of
Mhm.
reasons, maybe I don't know. Um, but even the Marvel films, I think I've had debates on whether or not this is a good thing or bad thing, and whether or not this can work. I think it can work where you have more of a diffused kind of movie schedule where it's like you kind of pick your poison and what you want to watch.
Mhm.
Where it's like, I'll watch Superman, maybe I'll skip Supergirl. I'm not interested, but it's okay because we don't need to. Whereas like when Marvel was at its top, it kind of was like, okay, you kind of gotta watch all of it because it's gonna lead to Avengers. Where now Marvel's kind of doing this diffused kind of like, you can kind of pick your poison. Um, kind of a situation. I
Mhm.
think that can work. I think you can have either model and work. You just gotta budget it properly and you gotta structure it properly.
Yeah.
So I'm not. So yeah, that's kind of my way of saying. I think Din's right. I also think you can do kind of both ways at the same time, where it kind of like where it's like get disparate stories every year that has nothing to do with anything.
Mhm.
I just think you just gotta do it correctly. But in terms of like, yeah, there's too much. I do think 2022, 3 shows in a year. Oi, oi. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I would be okay with more the jumping around the timeline thing if it was like one show a year, which we're more or less getting. I know technically we're getting two this year because we're finishing up Skeleton Crew, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
Andor's the real important. It's the 2025
Yeah,
show, in my opinion. So
that's true.
yeah, so the,
Yeah, I mean, just to say to comment on the whole starting over point, we definitely do accept it with a film, right? We accept going in, ideally, at least we hope we're getting a new set of characters, with the Force Awakens, which
Mhm,
we're also going to party about this year. We accepted, yeah, this is a new era. This is going to be a new time.
mhm,
And I mean, the reason for that is
mhm,
we know we're going to get a whole lot of time with them in one sitting. We're going to get 2 hours right here, right now, a full story arc from
mhm,
beginning, middle, and end, and just in the one film. And so that already has a lot going for it. I mean, Rogue One, one of the reasons Rogue One worked so well. I mean, the main reason is because Tony Gilroy just wrote it, just not wrote. He put together a fantastic story and performances and whatnot. It had a leg up in that it's this moment right before the film that starts it all, that we all agree is
mhm,
fantastic. We all love A New Hope. Wherever you
mhm.
put in your pecking order, we all love it.
Yeah.
We're all there for it. And so that was
Mhm,
yeah, that had a leg up. And so to say Andor season 1, both because Tony Gilroy just wrote a banger of a story
mhm,
and because it's connected to this character that we already know. I
mhm,
mean, he's the title character in this.
mhm,
And so that's already there, and has the mass audience appeal of very strong real world connections.
mhm.
And so season 2, we're not starting again. We're picking up where we left off,
That's why I'm
right? And
excited
yeah,
for next
yeah,
2 shows really, because
yeah,
we're actually continuing something.
mhm.
So
Yeah. I will say,
mhm,
uh, Ahsoka also had that advantage. It really did. Enough of us. Well, I guess for those who definitely obviously knew Rebels and Clone Wars, not that much. I guess for those who hadn't, with a more casual audience, yeah, they might have been picking up more. Um, you got a bit of Anakin in there, but even if you're not a prequelist, then that's
well,
kind
this
of.
episode got the most ratings, so,
Oh, sure.
that
Um,
probably helped.
but yeah, but yeah, I mean,
Mhm,
uh, that's the thing. Ahsoka, it really is strongly in continuity with Clone Wars and Rebels. We all agree. We all get that, and so, but that I think helped it. It wasn't starting anew. Wasn't just yet another. I think to Din's point though, is that uh, even if we do start anew, and this is the point with the films, even if we do start anew with new characters, if there's a lot of breathing room for us to sit with them and not interrupted by yet another show that we have to reset, even if it's a show with characters we know or not.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's what's nice about uh yeah, especially about Andor season 2.
Yeah, I'll just say this is why I'm really interested to see kind of the success of the next 2 streaming shows.
Hmm.
'Cause again, these are season 2s. We haven't had one of
Yeah,
those in a while.
right.
We had a season 3 of The Mandalorian, which did okay. I know
Yeah.
people, still Mandalorian, still powerhouse.
Hmm.
We're getting season 2s of shows that were successful for the most part.
Like you mean of Ahsoka you're talking about?
Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
Ahsoka and Andor.
yeah.
And in Ahsoka's case, so, you brought up the tying into the films.
Hmm.
I very much think Ahsoka, even maybe even more than the Mando and Grogu, is going to be almost a unofficial
True.
the build up to the Filoni film.
Yeah.
Even more so because than maybe even Mando and Grogu are to
Hmm.
get same creative and same writer. Um,
Hmm.
so you kind of have that going for it as well, and that's kind of why we can speculate about this later.
Mhm,
very curious to see what the next streaming show will be, and that will kind of, at least in my eyes, kind of determine,
mhm,
okay, this is kind of your strategy now for the types of stories you'll go for.
mhm,
Because I do think, and I think you finally do agree with me. I think the movies carry Star Wars, and you treat the streaming shows not
mhm.
as like a side thing, but almost like the appetizer, like a really good
Yeah.
appetizer, the before the main course.
Or to build it out,
Or to
you
build it
know
out.
you
I would.
know,
That's nice
so
too.
build it out, but one that is gonna get way more eyeballs than a novel,
Yeah,
you know?
in that sense as well. Like if you get a
You know?
big hit character in a movie,
Yeah,
spin like the secondary character into a streaming show and stuff like
yeah.
that. So yeah, I'll be very curious to see kind of where Eye on Screen goes this year. Also, before I be remiss, uh, this is also another thing I'm excited for.
Mhm.
Visions Volume 3. All Japanese studios again, and some pretty good
Okay.
ones as well, like Studio Trigger. Will be coming in here to do some stuff. I'm excited to see what they cook up. I'll be actually excited to see if any of them do sequels to their Volume 1 um, episode, or if it's all new shorts again. But yes, I'm excited for that. I love seeing just, the artsy Star Wars being all artsy and kind of the different animation styles, and see what they cook up. It's good
Mhm,
to see them continuing. I hope they continue to do this. I'm a little disappointed where it's not like season
mhm,
two. It's more international, where you get some Brazil and Irish and French and and maybe somewhere for Africa or China. Um,
mhm.
but overall, I'm excited for this as well. I don't think we have a date
We
yet.
don't have a date for Visions Volume 3. I was looking this up. Andor starts in April.
Right, Andor in April. Is it before or after
April 20,
Celebration?
the day 2 days after Celebration. So
Ooh,
so,
okay.
April 22nd, which
Oh,
is
interesting.
4
Okay.
days before Ben's birthday.
Interesting.
4 days
Okay.
before my birthday.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, I do think with Visions, one last point there. I mean, again, speaking of Celebration, there's a reason why they want to focus on Japan.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? They're really making a massive push,
Mhm.
and Star Wars was already big in Japan, but I think they really want to make such. I mean, Celebration. Who knows what the impact will be of Celebration? We'll talk more about Celebration at the end, but
Mhm.
they definitely want to really. I mean, they've done a good job from what I can tell of forging some ties. They're gonna want to make that ironclad and really get in there into the culture even more. So
And again, a volume three, 3 volumes, a continuation of something.
true.
This is I keep saying this is how you grow your Star Wars streaming. You gotta
Mhm,
commit longer than one thing. Like
mhm,
I'll just say, and I'll wrap it into the books and stuff. Look, I'm excited. I'm glad Skeleton Crew is getting its love, and I think it'll be over time something that's loved. But I also don't think it's getting a season two. Although, just by the way, John Watts kind of this whole
mhm.
story feels very one and done to me as
Yeah,
well. It seems
it
like one
does.
novel instead of a trilogy of novels or something like that. So I'm sure it will get big, but it's like if maybe if characters reappear, but it's like uh I think it'll still kind of not be niche, but kind of quiet, very quiet, calm show.
Mhm,
Uh, that unlike where Mando that's gotten 3 seasons and pretty good ratings. But
mhm.
that's Eye on Screen for 2025. We'll get to some speculation about the future in a moment. But of course, we should reminisce about the end
Cool.
of the High Republic. 2025, the end of an era. Oh, hi, Tyler. Tyler, speaking of comics and books,
Yes.
Tyler's in the chat. Hello.
Or we're getting to Tyler soon.
Yes. All right. So, for this year, we have Echoes of Fear finale by George Mann this week.
Yep.
Into the Light by Claudia Gray in April. A Valiant Vow by Justina Ireland in May. High Republic by Daniel Jose Older
How about
and
Adventures?
High
Sorry.
Republic Adventures. Thank you. By Daniel Jose Older ends either June or July. And Fear of the Jedi by Kevin Scott, February or June for comics. And of course, Trial of the Jedi by Charles Soule, June. The big one, the grand finale, and the wrap up the Jedi Nile saga, or I've been calling it lately, the Marcion Rose saga, because I feel like Marcion Rose both our Thanos and kind of our Anakin at the weirdly at the same time. He's our villain
Interesting.
main character. He tied it all together. Oh, and also, you put in here Broken Blade question mark and epilogue.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah. So this is also something I think I can talk about in terms of High
Mhm.
Republic as well, and kind of focusing on something. Um, Now you know me.
Cool.
I like the books that kind of go all over the place. 'Cause I like my timelines. I like to like. I like sometimes I want a little bit of
Mhm.
Dark Times. I want sometimes a little bit of sequels. Love some sequels. But with High Republic, we've had 4 or 5 years, entire presidential term of a single storyline saga, in phases, and it's all building up to this finale. And that's why I think in some ways another reason for High Republic's sort of consolidation of a fan base is, again, you focus on one storyline for a couple of years. Obviously, you don't
Mhm.
need to be 20 years, but like maybe a full presidential term. And then when people get tired of it,
What a way to
then
put
we
it.
can do something else.
Mhm.
But, again, I think High Republic is coming to an end just at the right time, just before people get too sick of it, and just kind of like coming to the grand finale. But Matthew, this is your field. You
Y-
go.
Yeah. So and I mean, I listed most of them here. You listed most of them here.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I mentioned Echoes of Fear, the finale. I believe it. I mean, Dark Horse sent me the review copy, so I hope it's coming out on Wednesday.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, by George Mann. Yeah, I mean, and it really is the beeline towards the end, and I say sad, do the tear face, but it all signs point to them ending on. Do I want to say high note on a
Finite
ending
note. How about a
on a
finite?
finite note, on a very clear. They planned out how to end this. You know, Kevin saying he knows exactly what Keeve's last three words are going to be. You know, Charles knows. I think he's done the draft for Trials of the Jedi. So and everything, how it's going to just hinge on one moment. Uh, One thing that came out already that we all listened to. We need to figure out when to do a review of that is Tempest Breaker. And Tempest Breaker, the audio drama by Kevin Scott, really setting it on the trajectory towards the end. This is truly everything is coming together. So even the High Republic Adventures, this Battle of Ariadu is really gonna be this major flashpoint in this Jedi Nile saga. Don't
Mhm.
sleep on it. Don't sleep on the end of High Republic Adventures, issues 14 to 17. We don't have quite release dates, kind of go back and forth. That's why we're like June or July. But that I didn't mention dispatches for the inclusion zone. Those are kind of tied into, and the other one shots
Mhm.
tied into the HRA line.
Mhm.
I gotta say, Daniel Jose Older, he's definitely crafted a significant chunk of story. It's right on. That's the area, right on the inclusion zone, right on the storm wall. And so it's how maybe how they can get the beachhead into Nile space, and with all these younger characters that we've seen grow up, and that's the biggest theme here. Into the Light, Valiant Vow, High Republic Adventures, Fear the Jedi with Keeve. All these younger characters that we've started, yeah, like you mentioned, 4 years ago. We've seen in the timeline, what, 3 4 years, 2 3 years, whatever it is, uh, really come into their own. Uh, Ram, like, just snip your braid off yourself, like, knight yourself. Who cares? you know, Definitely stepping up. Of course, Keeve stepping up. Uh, Trials of the Jedi, we got to see more Bell and Burry because we haven't seen much of them recently. And another example of Jedi stepping forward, and these Padawans stepping forward into their own, making this impact. And what a brilliant theme of young people, yes, taking on the experience of their forebearers, of their masters, saying this is how we need to respond in the present. And of course, no more significant, I think, at least for me, is my guy Reith. um the It's not a spoiler. You see on the cover of Echoes of Fear #4, he's grasping the rod of ages right there.
Mhm.
It's interesting, but uh, definitely, his going from this the student who wants to hide in this building behind us to saying, yeah, I'm gonna go on this adventure and figure this out and find this key piece to take care of the nameless. And by take care of, I mean take care of, right? That's clearly his motivation there. The nameless are not the enemy unless the Nile make them that. So that's been such a brilliant uh transition movement. Um Again, who, yeah, like you mentioned, Markian. Yeah, he's Thanos. Is he also Anakin? Like, where is his motivation? Tempest Breaker really uh, built in a lot, showed us a bit of a shade, a little bit of a shade. Really, finally, him literally bleeding, him literally being vulnerable. And so, what effect does that have? Lastly, I mentioned Broken Blade. So that's the Porter Engle comic, and that was teased at the end of the Blade, the Phase 2 comic about Porter and Barash,
Mhm.
and we hadn't heard a peep about it uh, for a long time. Someone finally asked Charles, I think on Instagram Q&A, what's happening with that, and he seemed to suggest that it's coming out after Trials of the Jedi, and so that's why I'm wondering if that's something of an epilogue. That might just have to do with comic book release schedules or something, or almost the sort of, maybe you can classify as the first standalone story in the High Republic, because yeah, I mean, it, his standoff with oh, what's her name, the General Vice is important, but what else is, what other impact is going to have on the overall story? So that also wrapping up, what happened to Barash? Are we going to get we're going to get Kira Kinfula probably in this as well. How does he end up, and maybe how does he end up taking the Barash vow himself and whatnot? So yeah, all of it really coming together. I look at this list of books, and yeah, it's a long list already, a long way to go between now and June. But given everything that's come out, like, maybe, I don't know how many comic books have come out. This is not a very long list left. And so, definitely given the sense, oh, this is actually happening. This is actually coming to an end. And yeah, in the first half of the year.
Right. End of an era. End of an era.
So
Speaking
time
of,
for you to jump into it, by the way, Joel. I
I
mean,
am
you're
still
into it.
I'm the Green
Yeah.
Tempest runner.
Yeah.
Here's the nameless. I already did
Tempest
Tempest
Breaker.
run. I already did the Tempest one. Um,
Yes. Reachers of the Nameless. Fantastic book.
but speaking of books, let's talk
Mhm.
about some comic books. Let's beef up the
Yes.
tractor beam. This year, we'll be seeing the end of my favorite, The Battle of Jakku, by Alex Segura, ends on January 22nd. Also,
See that?
Ewok will end as well by Steve Orlando, ends January 29th. And as for the comics we know coming out this year, a new Legacy one shot by various authors on January 29th, the one I'm looking forward to the most. Kylo Ren, Legacy of Vader by Charles Soule, starting February. Um, Jedi Knights by Mark Guggenheim begins in March. Hyperspace Stories by Bad Batch, Ghost Agents by Michael Morrissey begins
Mhm.
February. Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker by Easton Sachs. And the Pope Dameron comic begins in April. Hyperspace Stories original graphic novel Qui-Gon by George Mon, scheduled for March 4th. The
Mhm.
Rise of Skywalker adaptation, another one I'm excited for. Jody Hauser starts February. And
Free Comic Book
Free
Day.
Comic Book Day, eve of May the 4th, aka May 3rd.
There we go.
So very exciting.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and this is just what we know. Who knows, right?
Mhm.
There's still no word on what's going on with the main line just yet. That's just
Mhm.
interesting, very interesting. Um, Obviously we have Vader starting in February. It'd be very well. I don't know, Kylo Ren. Um,
I mean, it's a
Now,
Vader comic. Come on.
technically, a Kylo Ren slash Vader starting in February, it'd be kind of weird. It's like, oh, there's always been a Vader in Star Wars mainline,
Mhm,
even back in the old days. Like, there that was always kind of the main two of it all. Kicked everything off all those moons ago, which I think is very interesting.
mhm.
There's no word on if Africa can going to continue. I mean, I feel like she would. I don't see
Yeah.
why she wouldn't, but it's like there's still nothing there. Um, is there going to be another bounty hunters with some of the stuff they're setting up in Val Jakku? Um, so a lot of the continuations of the mainline story that we've been following for the last 4 years haven't been announced yet. I wonder if there'll be like some space in between before the Jakku ends and new mainline begins, or who knows? Maybe tomorrow they'll announce something and I'll be void.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Mhm.
But yeah, Matthew, thoughts on
Yeah.
that as well, and just our current
Mhm.
lineup.
First off, shout out to Tyler in the chat here. I know I just mentioned we just mentioned the authors tractor beam. We're going to start mentioning letters. We promise. So Tyler, I think you've worked. If let us know in the chat what books you've worked on, what you're excited for without spoiling anything.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go to have you in here. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. So you mentioned transitions, right?
Mhm.
And we've talked about the Battle of Jakku being this transition, being this, uh, this whole setup for what comes next. It kind of feels like, at least with these announcements, the big ones like the Legacy of Vader, Jedi Knights, and I guess Codebreaker a little bit. Basically, the Legacy of Vader and Jedi Knights.
Mhm.
Um, it seems like seems a little still more transitional. No, Jedi Knights will be 12 issues. Legacy of Vader is an ongoing. So, that's gonna be, and that's gonna basically cover both eras in a way. I mean, it's gonna be a Kylo Ren story reflecting on Grandpa and his legacy in the title there. Uh and so yeah, they a lot of just those things of that what am I getting at here? Like you mentioned, Battle of Jakku has set up a lot that we don't know. So what's just compiling this that I an hour and a half ago, compiling this list and these release dates, it really strikes me a lot of these things in the first half of the year, and a lot of
Yeah,
these short runs in the first half of the year.
that's true.
The only one that's going to be more than, I mean, Jedi Knights are going to be getting 12 issues. The only one that's probably going to be longer than that is Legacy of Vader. We know, I think we know Alex Segura is writing. So in this new Legacy one shot, and that's going to sort of be like Revelations. It's going to have different stories, like the Mark Guggenheim Revelations books, or I guess this last year's Revelations book had different authors. Had the author of the had Mark Bernardin with the Mace Windu comic. Had, I believe it had Charles Soule in in like kind of a going back in time a little bit for in the main line. So Alex Segura is writing a Luke Skywalker story, you know, uh, in this new Legacy one shot. Uh, we're gonna get to speculation later, but I'll just say this now: is yeah, what is that book later on? So again, this still feels transitional, still feels like uh it's giving us an appetizer still. And that's fine. I don't mind that. But we've just gotten those appetizers for the last few months. It's just picking that up a little more. So it's going to feel like a lot. Um, and you're just thinking, bearing in mind our conversation from the screen about new characters and whatnot, comics doesn't have the same kind of problem. We're
Mhm.
tend to just used to that kind of picking up a new short run. But there's been
Yeah.
a lot of short runs. There's been a lot of short runs. Um,
Comics are
and
kind of a whole different
they
media
are,
in general.
they are.
uh,
But just the point here being, these are all short runs, and um, like a long run is also different than a short run, and these nice little bow tied up stories. There's even a few like type of the legacy one shot.
Mhm.
The hyperspace story is Qui-Gon by George Mann, scheduled for March 4th, and Tyler I think worked on that as well. Uh, so that's finally coming out. Finally, so yeah, it's just that. So it is a similar thing. We were talking about screen in that, uh, it's just not a lot of time to flesh out a longer story, to have a longer character arc that these comics can do and have room to do. You know, that are all the long runs have done that fantastically. Charles Soule's Darth Vader 2017 really brought us from the no to uh yeah, I'm gonna go and become the Sith Master.
Right.
So so yeah, so Tyler agrees. I I guess he doesn't know. I mean, the kind of the Marvel, and so I think Tyler is mostly with Dark Horse, um, and so yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see if Dark Horse does a long run. They're all ages; they tend not to. So there's that. But interestingly, by the way, we haven't mentioned. Obviously, we separated High Republic from this, but I mean, some of these will go into the summer. Most of these will go into the summer. Um, the free comic book day books are also gonna have probably some more teases. But then there's also something happening in April that we'll talk about. That is that.
Yes.
The Rise of Skywalker adaptation. I just want to highlight that as well. Chris is gonna make me read that one. I'm really hoping. I mean, maybe Jody wrote that years ago, and now it's finally getting released. Is another possibility there. I'm really hoping it adds to the story more. One thing, and I haven't. I keep mentioning this. I haven't been doing the adaptations, the streaming service show adaptation, streaming show adaptations, because I don't see the point. It's just replicating the story. So I hope this is a comic book proper. Um, Also, speaking of Jodie Hauser, one thing I do hope is we get the end of Thrawn Alliances, because that's a great story, and so hopefully she's able to her and Tim Zahn are able to finish that. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. Last thing I'll say here, I'm excited for all these books. Excited to read them. Excited to explore just different parts of the galaxy, parts of the uh, parts of the timeline. Getting more Bad Batch stories,
Mhm.
getting another Bad Batch story set during the Clone Wars. So that's going to be fun as well. That's another thing. That's a nice thing about short runs, is that they can just do a lot of different things and take us a lot in a lot of different places. So that,
Mhm.
uh, lastly, Jedi Knights by Mark Guggenheim. He's a fantastic writer. It's going to be a Qui-Gon focused story, but kind of in and around the same time as the Living Force, just set before the Phantom Menace, obviously, because it's Qui-Gon. And me, my space wizards, and how much I love my space wizards. So that, and my prequel era space wizards. So
And we'll be
yeah,
also seeing the emergence of that new bad guy who is not that new. If you know your Star Wars history.
right. Yeah, you mentioned that. Also, Tensu Run, the new Jedi character from Inquisitors.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice! Yay!
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's
I mean, any of these. I mean, Legacy of Vader sends out to you. I just want to hear from you more. Like what of these are you gonna commit to? Gonna dive into?
definitely Legacies of Vader.
Mhm.
Probably obviously I'm gonna finish up Jakku.
Mhm.
Um, maybe I'll check out the Jedi Knights one just to see how they handle the clone guy. Uh,
Yeah.
but definitely Legacy of Vader, absolutely, because sequel content at long last.
True.
And I'm very excited to see what it does and
Mhm.
how it fleshes that era out as
Mhm.
well. So I'm very excited for that.
Mhm. That's
Oh, and the Rise of Skywalker novel,
yeah.
no, adaptation comic.
Yeah.
I
That's
have both.
I just realized that we're getting February in February we're getting to, I mean, so Legacy of Vader is set between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and then of course we're getting Rise of Skywalker. Oddly enough, I mean, we know we're getting Korvax Fen. Kylo Ren looking for the Wayfinder on Corvax Fen. That's in the novelization too, right? But
Yes, yes,
yeah,
and yeah,
yes. Joel always wants an Emperor cameo. Joel wants Palpatine in every one of these books.
it's so true. I do, and he had a chance to appear in a couple of these.
That's true.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, hey, he got a cameo in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic. Charles Soule did.
true.
That's exactly something I'm very curious to see if Soul builds off of that mini
Hmm.
or not, or what he does. 'Cause
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
he's the last person to really write Kylo Ren in the comic. So
True.
curious to see what happens. But yeah, very excited.
Oh, shameless plug. All these books will be talked about on the Tractor Beam Comics reviews. Chris and I will
Yes, they will.
definitely get to every single one of these, including the Rise of Skywalker adaptation. So
At least the first
stick
issue.
around. Yes. Oh no, I'll stick it out. I'll stick it out.
Okay.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Unless it's like the first issue just terrible, then you should probably drop it. First issue doesn't ring your bell. I don't think the rest will.
Yeah. If it adds to the story, if it's not just a shot for shot copy, and I'm actually gripped in it. That's the thing. Even the Ahsoka issue number 5, I'm like, I'm just flipping through pages. I know this show. I know the episode. I know the episode. Give me something new. And so I am actually looking forward to it giving me something new. Even if it does have things from the film, I know it's going to play with time a little differently as well. So
That's
yeah.
true. Now, as for novels that aren't the High Republic, we actually only have one as of
Mhm.
now. Yeah, there's only one non-High
Yeah.
Republic novel.
Only one announced.
I'm
Yeah.
sh- I'm sure more will come throughout the year. I
Mhm.
hope there's normally at least 3.
Mhm.
And that is the Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear, Alexander Freed, February 27th, and
25th.
25th. And unless they announce that James Lucino is doing a Snoke book or something, in this year,
Mm.
this is probably going to be my book of the year
Yeah.
already. 'Cause I am super excited for this. I count this, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, as a Revenge of the Sith at 20 special thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if they themselves considered it or not, but I do. This is very much like the connection to Brotherhood.
Mhm.
This is both an Andor tie-in and a Revenge of the Sith 20 tie-in in my eyes, all at once.
Mhm.
Um, as I am so excited for this book to see pretty much day one the Empire from the side of the Senate, and to see Mon, Bale, and Saw tackle with this and more. I
Mhm.
love Alexander Freed. I think he is really well suited for this type of politicking book. And yeah, this is exciting, and I have to only wait till February
Mhm.
25th. So hooray for me! Although
Mhm.
some of the people got their books ahead of time and didn't give me a copy. I'm kidding. Um, I'm
I could.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. But no, I'm
Yeah.
very excited. I know people who have read it love it already, and that just makes me even
Mhm.
more excited.
Yeah.
You have it. Ellie from Daughters of Ferrex has it. No, Chris Star Raptor has it.
Mhm.
Corey Datapad has it, and so yes, hype. I'm ready for this,
Oh yeah.
Matthew. Well, what's your hype for this book? Are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm gonna literally start it maybe tonight or tomorrow. I've kind of
Yay!
been kind of in between books, reading some comics and whatnot. Reading Sam Wilson Captain America, by the way. But not the Greg Pak one that just came out, but
Mhm.
Nick Spencer's run. Um, yeah, everything I hear about this book, I'm in for. I'm such a fan of politics in Star Wars. Um, and that it's going for a full bore. It's a chunky book. I was gonna bring it on my trip out west to see family. It's too chunky. It's too big, and I just have this soft cover arc review copy, and so like, okay, I'm not gonna risk that. But yeah, I'm gonna start maybe tonight or tomorrow. Dive right in because yeah, nice to actually maybe finish a book by the time the thing comes out. Let's hope. Um, yeah, definitely looking forward to. It is odd that we're only getting one non-High Republic novel.
At least that we
Or at
know
least
of
that we
so
know
far.
of that's announced. Although you think they'd announce them already. I mean, if yeah, we'll get to the speculation in a minute, but
Mm.
um But from everything I hear, it's a doozy of a
Hmm.
novel. I also haven't read Glass Abyss yet, so the Mace Windu novel. So I need to catch up on my non High Republic content here. Um, yeah, and I mean, goodness, Revenge of the Sith at 20, and we're going to talk about that at the end again too. But uh, Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera and Bail Organa, everything I'm hoping for in those that question of, I think we talked about this before the break, the question of, you know, the kind of the, working within the system and being radicalized and trying to navigate the system as it's changing, as the constitution is being completely revamped, and uh people being radicalized left and left, while the right is I'm calling the Empire right wing organization, just to let you know. Timely, given everything happening in the real world. So um you know I mean, I'm guessing, I don't know what Alex Dufresne's own political leanings are, but
I said probably at least left of center, if not like
yeah,
progressive.
sure. But I'm guessing a lot of folks who are reading this novel are going to take this as kind of a, and like Andor too. I mean, that's the thing with Andor and all these imperial stories, political imperial stories. Yeah, what's this saying about the real world, and how is this speaking to the real world? Even though they were all the stories were done and dusted before early November, uh, the kind of, I mean, that's just a symptom of a deeper problem. How are these novels talking about that deeper problem of the not just America's push to authoritarianism, but we're gonna have an election. We're almost certainly gonna elect a Trump light in a few months. Here in
Build that
Canada.
wall, eh? That's my Trump impression.
Actually, well, no, it's the 51st state nonsense, is what that is.
Or the
Um,
51st state, eh?
yeah,
There we go.
no, but yeah, it's interesting now. We're getting these stories that are tapping into this need to speak to this resurgent authoritarianism. I mean, to J.J. Abrams' credit, he was doing it 10 years ago. Um, the First Order is kind of coded as this. Obviously, Ryan Johnson took that and ran with it. Obviously, Rogue One came out just as this all hit the first time. And so, yeah, to be reading these novels in this time that we're in, when our democracies are being given away again, slowly but surely, hopefully not surely, at the risk of being given away. And we're sorry, talking too much. We're 4 years out from the terrorist attack on January 6th, and you know that that scared enough people into saying, uh, this is not something to be trifled with, not something to be considered on the fence about, is what I mean. um I'm talking about Trump and all his supporters. I'm going there, obviously. um and so, yeah, to read these novels, knowing that there are, I mean, that's the thing today. uh the president was ratified, Congress was sworn in the last few days, right?
No,
um
we don't inaugurate him until
right,
ratified.
sorry, right, yeah, the electoral college was ratified because Congress was sworn in last few days.
Oh, yeah.
There are members of Congress who are now precisely in Mon Mothma's shoes. What do they do? How do they build capacity? How do they help um, build community power to actually change society and to build much more democratic resilience? Looking forward to Daughters of Ferrex, what they have to say. I should say about this, but
We should bring them on for a
we
book
should,
review too.
yeah,
Live
have
out.
a massive roundtable. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, this again, it's only the one novel, but yeah, it seems like a doozy, and I can't wait to dive in.
Yes. Also, if you really like this book,
Yeah,
I would recommend then reading, if you really like Alexander Freed as an author,
yeah.
'cause I think this is your first Alexander Freed book that you've read.
Possibly, yeah,
If you really like him as an author and what he has to say,
yeah,
highly recommend Alphabet Squadron, because it is
yeah.
very not only is it a very chunky book, it's actually not really about squad fighter pilots in that sense. It's actually more about redemption and
Hmm.
what does it mean to defect from an empire so late in the
Yeah.
game compared to say like a Wedge or a Draven who defected early. Like it's
Right.
like here's a defector who defected after the second Death Star.
Right.
First Death Star, okay, but you didn't defect after the first Death Star, and you didn't defect you only defected after they blew up the second one,
Right.
and the winds of power have definitely changed. So it's like, what does that say about you?
Hmm.
So highly recommend those books, Matthew, to you and to our audience if you like Alexander Freed's
Yeah.
Mask of Fear. Um,
I have the
because
first two. I need to buy the third one, and then I need to read them.
Hera's in those books,
Yeah.
so if you want a
I
familiar
mean,
character.
here's another nice thing, interesting thing about the High Republic ending.
Mhm.
I'll have more time to read other things.
Yes.
Right.
I would definitely recommend then Alphabet Squadron.
Mm,
Twilight Company's pretty good. It
mm,
suffers a little bit from it's very much an early canon book, so it's like
mhm,
there's not a lot of connections to thing, but
sure.
it's a very interesting commando story about some rebels in between episodes 5 and 6. No, actually 4, 5, and 6.
Mm, interesting.
Also, and that's actually another thing that might kind of make you look back because like this was before all the 4, 5, and 6 comic books came out. So
True.
there's no mention of Kira at all because none of that happened yet. So there's that.
Mhm,
But yeah, recommend Alexander Freed's work, especially if you
mhm.
like those books. So excited about that. Okay, second to last big thing of the 2025 year. Celebration Japan.
Pacific
Woo!
Coast Party, East Pacific Coast Party. Woo!
CouchCon.
And CouchCon.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously we're not going, but we can still speculate on
Mhm,
what's to come. I'm gonna be very curious to kind of see what again the thematics of what they're trying to tell us with the celebration.
mhm,
Because I do think 2023 again kind of built into that thing I've been kind of banging the drum about for the last couple of years is again that year of transition. Because
mhm,
obviously, when they announced during that celebration, they said Mangled does First Jedi story, Dawn of the
mhm.
Jedi. Sorry,
Yeah, that
get
one.
confused. Obviously, Ray's coming back with the Sharima Beach Noi film, and then obviously Filoni's doing his thing
Mhm,
as the big culmination um, of the big culmination movie. So obviously, that was a signal that regardless whether or not it's these films are returning to Star Wars as the main flagships and the things that carry Star Wars forward.
yeah.
Obviously, that was before the strike, but even then, even they were kind of still transitioning. Strike happens, of course, so some things probably had to get rescheduled and whatnot. I
Mhm,
mean, we know that Acolyte was actually supposed to come the year of the strike. That got pushed. No, it was Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew. My bad.
yeah.
Andor was supposed to come the year this last year, but that got pushed to this year. Um,
Mhm,
and now, obviously, of course, we have a movie that we definitely know is going to be coming out, Mandalorian Grogu, that has a date. So first big speculation thing for me is probably a Mando and Grogu trailer because they probably have enough footage to make something. They actually did make something for the D23 thing. It's
mhm.
like the most teasers thing. It's like barely, it's the one with Zeb and the AT-ATs on maybe Haas. If you know where to go and find that stuff. Um, I'm
Mhm.
sure Dominic showed you. Um,
Nope, I haven't seen it,
oh really? Okay.
but I kind of want to see it now. I probably should look for it.
I can probably send you something later.
Sure.
Um,
No, you won't. Disney,
I,
Disney, don't hear anything about that.
oh yeah, I don't have to send you anything. I'm a good boy. I actually do wonder if they'll just. I kind of doubt they'll use that one because that's like a. This is for just the audience because we just want to kind of show you guys
Yeah.
something, but this isn't what we're going to probably display for the mainstream audiences. Although I am kind of curious if they'll do a full year of marketing with because it's like if they release in
Mhm.
April, like that's still more than a year to go. I'm sorry. My brain's now here, so I need to talk about this.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like
Well, we're speculating now too.
because like just the Superman trailer, which was really good. That came out in December. That was the first teaser. That's a teaser trailer. That's the first teaser. But that movie's coming out in July, so it's like that's like December, January, February, March, April,
It's
May, June,
7, 8
July. That's
months.
5, 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
If they release something in April to the public on
Mhm.
put it on YouTube, what I mean by that, that's still like a year away. That's more than a year, right? Because it's May
Yeah.
2026. Um, so so I do wonder if like they just want to do a full year and just like, hey, here's the first one, and then we'll do a
Mhm.
second one, maybe closer, like in December. Maybe kind of like Force Awakens kind of did that. I feel like where they had like a trailer like way in advance, and then they kind of did more of the bigger things
Yeah.
later. So I'd be curious to see if they do something like that, or if it will be just
Right.
behind the curtain. I don't know. Um, that's kind of my big speculation. Um, I wonder if they'll give any
Oh,
update
sorry.
to movies that we know are happening, or what is actually going to be the next movie after Mando and Grogu. Because obviously, I do think they want to release another one after this. So
Sure.
will it be will it be Mangold? I don't think it'll be Filoni because he's working on Ahsoka this year. Um, will it be one of those new 1001 Ray films that are in development? And which one will be Chnoi's, Kimberg's, the Deadpool dudes, Levy's. There we go.
Or
Which
are they all one film?
are they all one?
Surprise.
It's like 3 directors, 20 writers? I don't know. I'll be curious about that. Which one's actually happening if they
Mhm.
decide to, or curveball new thing? Who knows? Again, I'm curious to see if they will announce what's the next streaming show after Ahsoka.
Mhm.
I'm also curious if anything of Ahsoka is mentioned because that is filming this year. I think after Celebration or maybe in the spring. So I'll be curious if they do
Mhm.
anything for that. And it's like, if they recasted Balin, it's like, we respect what's his name? Who was the actor's name?
Oh goodness.
Ah, cute Balin actor.
Yeah.
Um, Let me look it up. Ray Stevenson, like
Yeah,
it'll
that
be
guy.
like like we honor and love Ray Stevenson, but the show must go on. So
Mhm.
here's the recast actor. He does the whole like Ray Stevenson was a great actor or my friend, depending on who they got, and it's
Mhm.
like I hope to carry on the legacy with this amazing character that he brought to life. Something like that. Um,
Mhm.
and that's just the big announcements, if there are any, right?
Mhm.
So like definitely think Mando and Grogu will be sit front and center because that's concrete, that's there, that has film. They finished officially filming, now they're just doing post production. Um and then I kind of wonder if they'll give an update on what they decide gonna be next.
Mhm.
We'll get to the books and comics in a little bit. But I'll just
Yeah.
pause right here and say, Matthew, what's your guttural instincts about what might
Guttural.
happen? What
Guttural. Love,
guttural?
what a word.
I love that word.
Um,
What's your vibe? What's your feels?
in terms of a trailer, so the for Mando and Grogu, so
Mhm,
there's two possibilities here. I mean,
mhm,
the sequel films they'll come out in December. They got Super Bowl trailers. At least Last Jedi I know did. I'm trying to
mhm.
remember if the other two did.
I think they
Um,
did.
they got super. So that's February. It's January, February. So that's about a year,
Mhm,
right? So if there's some ifs though, right? I mean, if it's really the push to films to say
mhm,
we well, I'll start with the possible negative is if it's business as usual with Lucasfilm, we might get nothing. We might get crickets because we got crickets for Skeleton Crew. We're getting a little bit for Andor. Uh,
Well,
you
Andor should
know,
be out by then, so
well, I know, but I mean, like right now, we're getting some things with Andor,
right.
but we don't, you know,
It's not the big
obviously
push yet. It's not the
there
big
isn't the big push.
push.
So either
Mhm,
it's business as usual and it's the same for a film,
mhm,
or it's going to be radically different because it's a film and they actually are going to give this a shot instead of what
mhm,
the Acolyte got and what the Acolyte got a little bit, but what Skeleton Crew got, what Andor
mhm.
might be getting. I mean, to
Spacing it
be
out a lot.
yeah, or to be harsh, are they going to decide to get their act together for this? I know that's
Mhm,
a very harsh, very blunt thing to say, but
mhm,
if they're actually going to release something at Celebration, or are they going to release something a week after Celebration or a month after Celebration? I don't know. Um, obviously, there's most likely going to be a panel. There's obviously going to be the showcase panel, and that's going to have a lot of Mando and Grogu. That's going
Sure,
to have Ahsoka.
I'm sure.
That's possibly. I mean, they might trot Daisy Ridley out for that. They just might. Definitely, I can definitely see Pedro Pascal being on that. I definitely see Rosario Dawson and
Unless
oh
they're
man,
filming in London by that
unless
time.
they're
I don't.
filming, yeah. Oh, then they'll pipe them in on video for a few minutes.
Right.
Um, uh, oh wow, no, I'm blanking on who playing Sabine, Australian Natasha Liu Bordizzo.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, the at least they'll pipe them in on screen
Mhm.
online. So yeah, they'll show that, they'll give maybe some updates. I mean, what's nice with Ahsoka, they'll probably talk about season one
Yeah.
a little
I
more.
doubt they'll have as trailer for Ahsoka season 2
No,
that early.
no, they won't have a
If it,
trailer, but
if it
they'll
comes
probably
out next year.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, my gut. So my gut for Mando Grogu is
Mhm.
a an in-house only
Okay.
trailer. That's my gut. Like not necessarily a trailer, like a sizzle. Because given how it's over a year in advance,
Hmm.
given um given how Lucasfilm just they aren't as proactive with their marketing, and that's been to their disadvantage. That's been to their detriment. They're just haven't been given that push. Um, if they surprise me and if I'm wrong, which would be great, and they splash a full on teaser on YouTube,
Hmm.
uh, then okay, I'll know they mean business. Until then, yeah, they have May 22nd. Race head rule. I'm still with the race head rule. I gotta say, I believe it's happening when I'm in the theater halfway through a bag of mini Mars bars, and the whatever crawl or whatever it is comes up. So
I
uh,
mean, I still think the Mandalorian growth is going to happen unless outside factors really start to screw with it. Uh,
the will of the force. So yeah,
yeah, but, I mean, it'll be interesting, right? Because again, this is a movie, and I think the marketing
yeah.
for the streaming shows has been different because they're streaming shows.
It seems likely,
It's
but
different
yeah,
media. They're not movies.
mhm,
It's kind of different format, even, right?
yeah.
Like, you kind of push that a little more closer to release date where movies you kind of want to give the marketing a little bit more time to breathe.
You'd want to.
Mhm.
You'd want to. Will they?
True. I don't know. I mean, I think like Marvel's done that too with their movies versus their TV shows.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw
True.
more Captain America trailers than I've seen Agatha All Along trailers.
Yeah. True.
Um,
Yeah.
so there's that. I don't know. Acolyte got a lot. I thought Acolyte got a big marketing push in those last months.
In the last months, yes. Like this time next year,
Mhm.
we'll be talking about a trailer,
Right.
right?
I
Like
mean,
a
it's
story
always,
trailer.
but then again, it's like I don't know. Maybe we do. You do want you know shorter attention spans for trailers. It's like, well, let's face it, general audience don't care. Like they got short attention spans. Like
Yeah, and they're watching so many other things too. Like we're the ones who are just all Star Wars all the time. I'm not, but
Like
yeah.
they don't know a movie's happening until probably
Hmm.
day of most of the time.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, heck, I don't. There are
Yeah.
movies I don't even know are out right now. Like, oh, that's out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I'm not a marketing person, so I don't know like what's actually better or worse.
Yeah.
And you can't really judge by streaming because streaming's its
Maybe the
whole
times are changing. Yeah,
own
maybe I don't know.
beast. It's its own beast.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
although then again, I've seen lots of Captain America trailers, and that movie's not
Yeah.
that for like the last year.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Um,
coming out in a month and a half. So.
yeah, and I don't remember when the first trailer was, but it was a
Hmm.
while ago. They're
Hmm.
now on like the fourth trailer. I feel like.
Hmm.
Um, nothing for Fantastic Four yet, and that's coming out in
No.
July too. And again, Superman, that's coming out. That got a trailer right now, and that's coming out to July, so that's definitely a shorter time span.
Fantastic Four is coming out in July 2025.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. And we haven't
same
seen a
time.
thing.
At least officially.
That's
Yeah.
yeah. That
Uh,
that that baffles me. Sorry, I know that's a bit of a tangent. That baffles me. They're the first family. They're like Kevin when Kevin Feige introduced that at that Investors Day. They were or whatever it was, the D23 or whatever it was. They're like, yeah, but they're the first
2020.
family. Yeah, my goodness. He was like,
But
that's
maybe,
such a
oh,
big
but who
deal.
knows? Maybe
Yeah.
we'll just one good trailer, and then like Superman
Mhm.
got 32 million views in a day. So
Right.
who knows? 'Cause
So
like the little I saw of that Fantastic Four teaser
sure.
thing. Ooh, that looks special. I'm
Yeah.
excited. That's looks like one of those Marvel films that's going to stand out from the rest of them. Uh, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Who
I
knows?
they might when is that? What day is that coming out?
Fantastic Four MCU.
Yeah,
That
first steps.
is Fantastic Four first step.
July
That's
25th.
yeah around the
So
same
there's
time
a
as
certain
Superman.
there's a
So
certain thing happening where I will be in San Diego the week before that.
ooh, interesting.
Certain little gathering in San Diego happening.
Oh, no
Yeah,
wonder they're
come
doing
on.
both Superman and Fantastic Four.
It's big
Um,
enough. They'll just show both of them. Come
oh,
on.
I'm sure they probably want to. Like maybe
Yeah.
it'll be a super fantastic Heimer
Yeah.
duel. That's the now that's a
Interesting.
DC versus Marvel
That's interesting.
competition I can get behind.
And Star Wars
Um,
is in third. Anyway.
so who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe
Yeah.
I'll be curious. And if they do show just an in-house thing, I wonder if it's just the one that we've already seen a bunch of times from D23.
Yeah.
With the AT-ATs. And Hoth, or not Hoth. I don't know what it's an ice planet. I hope
Yeah.
it's Hoth for some certain reason.
Have I seen this thing? Have I seen this one? Is it public or is it
Nah,
another
it's one.
special
It's one of
release?
those.
Okay. So I
But
haven't
it's
seen it.
probably not.
Yeah.
It's not public.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'll be curious. I'm sure. At the very least,
Hmm.
we know stuff. Like, tell us who the alien lady from Alien is.
Oh.
Shoot, I'm forgetting names. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
first week back.
Sigourney
First
Weavers. So who's
week.
Sigourney Weaver's
Yeah.
character? We know Jeremy Allen White's gonna play Road of the Hut. Have him
Right.
come off. Tell him
Right.
talk about Road of the Hut.
Amazing.
It's gonna be awesome. Maybe they'll give us a little bit of like what's going on here. Um,
So Timothy Oliphant?
I hope so. I hope he's in the
Gotcha.
movie. I'm
Yeah.
curious who is in the movie actually. Maybe they'll put like who all the people who are in the movie by that point, like a big kind of cast, like
Yeah.
Pedro, Weaver, White, Connie, all those people.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, do you think? Here's another question, kind of just to switch,
Mhm.
because I don't think they'll show an Ahsoka trailer. I think that's too early. That's because I think they're
Yeah.
just gonna be filming.
Mm.
But do you think they'll tell us what the next streaming show after Ahsoka is, or do you think they'll maybe wait till 2026?
Do you mean live action?
Yeah, live action streaming show.
No.
We'll get to the okay.
I hope not. I hope we're taking a break, frankly. I hope we're taking a break from live action.
I doubt we will. I think
Um,
we're getting at least one a year. I
okay.
don't think
I mean, yeah, I mean, they might then in that case. I just don't know what it'll be.
me neither. Uh
Sorry, folks. I got nothing for you.
no, I don't either. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's really
I'll
that one's
say
up in the
just to move things along. I'm more interested to know what the next animated show is. 'Cause I do think we're getting
same.
that.
Same
Um,
here. Same here.
you mentioned your adventurous show. Yeah, maybe. I mean, honestly, I love Tales of the Empire. I know it's the length made it seem less significant, but
Mhm.
talk about quality over quantity. You
I
know,
think we'll get another Tales of. I just don't think it'll
yeah,
be this year. I think it'll be next year.
sure. But they
Uh,
got to tell. They should tell us something about it. I mean, why not this year though? I mean, why not
I
give us that every year?
because I feel like they're gonna want to switch that and Visions. I feel like those are like every year. Like,
Yeah, that's true. It's Visions. Yeah. So there's definitely going to be something with Visions. Probably a
oh
whole
yeah, that's
Visions
probably
panel,
absolutely. It's
and maybe
Japan.
show some of the episodes.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
nice.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
do wonder if they'll announce before Celebration or at Celebration
Mhm.
what the kind of the next, 13 to
Yeah.
16 animated long ongoing animated series will be
Mhm.
afterwards. I'm because I think you can show it after Celebration, like make that
Yeah.
your fall thing if you want to.
True.
Uh just to have something.
Yes, we need
on.
to give him more money and more awards.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I think there will be something this
Mhm.
year because there's for the most because Bad Batch ended this year, right? Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it did. It did.
2025? No, 2024.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah,
24
it's
I mean.
we're in 2025.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I think we'll probably get something this year for
Mhm,
an ongoing animated series. Whether or
mhm,
not that's announced before or after Celebration, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the big
So,
speculation there.
be a completely new story, live action. I mean, I'm wondering here's just me being my hashtag prequels in terms of the animated show,
Mhm.
Tales of the Republic. Or it's the Tales of, sorry, the Tales
Oh,
of.
like
Ta- Tales of the Republic or
mm,
Tales of the Resistance. One of the two. And I
ooh.
know which one you want.
Oh,
um,
I feel like of Tales of the Jedi is just Tales of the Republic. Same thing.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because Count Dooku and Ahsoka. Don't get more
No,
prequel than that.
that's true. Tales of the
Uh,
Resistance then. Tales of the Resistance.
oh, I hope so. That'd be nice.
And but in Clone Wars style.
Yes, yes. I would
But
like that very much.
if they're to go along with the move with the Ray films and everything even we're talking about with comics,
Mhm.
um, you know, to say, okay, have sequel era characters, but maybe an older sequel era character and have one of them be in the Mandoverse era, you know. Um, there's another possibility, Tales of the Rebellion.
That's
Uh,
true too.
you know,
That's true too.
yeah.
Um,
Tales from
uh,
All Sides of the Cantina. There's a short story collection with that.
why not?
Although, although the from a certain point of view, the New Hope from a certain point of view did that plenty.
That's true.
But
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
some ideas.
I mean, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. I do wonder because that's the two kind of two thing we have in terms of
Yeah,
a Clone Wars style animation, an ongoing kind of
yeah,
13 to 16 episode thing, and another Tales of. 'Cause I definitely think they'll make another Tales of, and I think that'll
yeah.
probably happen next year.
Be next year.
I'll just be
Um, and
so.
then also, well, so just my question then. I
Mhm.
mean, do we? Do here's the thing: do we actually have a longer animated series
I think we
this
will.
year?
I've heard rumblings. There's already
Okay.
one out there.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but I wouldn't be shocked if we
Yeah.
I would be shocked if we didn't have one. They've been pretty
I wouldn't
consistent.
be. I wouldn't be shocked, frankly,
Mm.
given the push to live action or given the push to live action films.
Yeah, but they've always had an animated show at least going on. I don't think it affects the
Yeah.
animated stuff that much. I
True.
think that's always kind of just there to be
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's kind of how I think it's what
I
we're
need
gonna.
something. You're right.
Yeah, see, I think the median will be one movie a year, one show, live action show a year, and then an animated show a year.
Like a
That,
longer animated show and
yeah,
then the shorter animated collection. Like either
yeah, and that's
Visions
kind
or
of
Tales of. Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
how I think might more or less go down.
Hmm.
For the most part. So
Yeah. And you're
yeah,
you're the animated guy, so like when do you think they'll use a different style?
I don't
Is
know.
it
I think they might continue that style because they have the assets for it, and it's sort of
yeah,
like these shows are kind of building on themselves a lot,
true.
especially now with Bad Batch. Like if it is the Venture show,
Yeah.
that's building off of Bad Batch, which is building off Clone Wars.
Building off of
Um,
Ahsoka a little bit.
yeah, maybe
A
if
little
it's
bit.
if it's Dathomirian,
Yeah.
maybe they'll be like some tie-ins to like or like some nods to like the Dathomir stuff, but what was going on in the past.
Yeah.
So possibly,
Mhm.
who knows? That's a big question. But
Mm.
I think we might hear something, maybe.
Yeah. If
But
there I'll say this, if there is one,
Mhm.
we'll hear it at Celebration. We'll hear about it
Yeah,
during
I think
Celebration.
I think we probably
Yeah.
will as well, especially if it's probably coming out after
Mhm.
Celebration.
Yeah.
My guess, because Andor is coming out in the first quarter,
Yeah.
so
No, it would be after. If it was coming up before, that's in 4 months.
right.
We would have
So
heard about it already.
yeah, so I think so. But that kind of covers the screen stuff.
Mhm.
On the book side of things, High Republic won't be over. So obviously we'll get some High Republic, probably some. We sadly can't do retrospective panels. This is the one sad thing about High Republic not being over by Celebrations. Like we can't do a retrospective just yet. We kind of have to still,
Mhm.
kind of like walk around like we're so close to the ending, but we
Yeah.
can't do a full retrospective of it all just yet. Maybe
Mhm.
Celebration 2026 if there is one.
Yeah. Or 27.
Or 27.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that. But there probably will be book and comic panels, and I do wonder if that's where we'll start to hear our first rumblings of
Yeah.
non-High Republic books, if depending if the resources went into those. But again, the only one we have is Mask of Fear, which is interesting. We at
Mhm.
least get 2 or 3 more,
Mhm.
uh, just for the heck of it. So I'm sure there'll be more, and obviously be very curious to see if we have found out anything about the comic side of things. My bad. Um,
Mhm.
if they're announcing things or
Yeah.
we're now knee deep in the main lines and some afras and whatnot. But Matthew, take it away. What
Yeah.
are yours? What are your feels here, and what do you think might
I
be
mean, a
the
few
truth?
things. I think just a reminder, we're getting
Mhm.
the second and third installments of Reign of the Empire in 2026 and 2027. They're spreading them out,
Right, we know that.
unless they up the schedule for that. But I don't know. They don't need to. Yeah, I think we'll probably get an
Mhm.
adult novel, probably a bunch of kids books. We haven't really mentioned resource books at all. We are getting a few already are announced for sure,
Oh yeah,
like
I
the
forgot
second
about
second
those.
High Republic, Art of High Republic. Um, yeah, I mean, there'll probably be another adult novel maybe around November.
Mhm.
That might make sense. I think I think where Alex Segura is gonna say Luke Skywalker going forward. Uh, whether or not Chelly is in that book too, as a main character in that book or not. I mean, Chelly kind of deserves her own book anyway. So, I mean, that'll be interesting because, usually, well, here's an interesting thing. Yes, we're getting Legacy of Vader.
Mhm.
Um, but what we haven't got, well, we've had an Afra book, but if Afra is more on the heroic bent now,
Mhm.
um, that can take up a lot more space. She takes up plenty of space as it is. She could be a really substantial book. I wish Alyssa Wong was writing it. I don't think they have the time. um, but somebody, maybe somebody new getting there to write it. Um, I think there'll be an Afro book, but I think the big thing Alex Segura is going to say Star Wars #1 set right after Battle of Jakku, or set maybe a month after,
Right.
picking up everything he's done with Luke so far in the Battle of Jakku.
Mhm.
Um, I think Adelhard. I mean, he's still alive. Spoiler alert, but it's not a spoiler. It's just from the previous book. But I think he's still kicking. I don't. Oh, I don't know. Well, that's the thing. I don't know. He probably eats it at the end of Battle of Jakku. But the impact of that and the impact of everything about, I mean, what we know leading up to Mandalorian season 3 with Gideon and the Shadow Council and Pelion and Thrawn and
Mhm.
all that stuff happening.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, you know,
Mhm.
Alex has tapped into that a little bit
Mhm.
in Battle of Jakku. Obviously, he has to have, with Rax and Sloan and them going off, and they're off. They're gone.
They're off.
They're gone. Um, but yeah, I think he can. I mean, he's definitely impressed. He's definitely
Mhm.
deserves to keep going, and I think he will. And so that Charles Soule said he knows in New York Comic Con. He said he knows what it's going to be. And
Nice.
again, that whole a new legacy one shot coming out in a few weeks, that really gets my mind going. So now I'm convinced that a Bounty Hunters book would be interesting, given.
We got Valance in Jakku, so
Yeah, we got Valance. I mean, maybe an Afro Valance book. I mean, that's the thing. And Tonga. I mean, these interesting characters that Ethan, has fostered. Obviously, he'd be the first to say, "Yes, I'm happy for another author to take a crack at them."
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it would be great if he could continue that. Obviously, I mean, I want him to continue his Jango Fett book, but that's who knows when that's going to happen. Um, so yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's what we get announced there too. Of course, he's writing a Poe Dameron book, so
Oh yeah.
for Dark Horse. So yeah, again, I think the things that seem clearer to me are a Luke. I mean, Luke on Leia, especially Luke, and
So Star
maybe
Wars mainline like
yeah,
usual.
main line. But yeah, Luke with maybe with his founding of the Academy and looking for artifacts and things like that. I mean, on the looking for artifact side, you know who's an expert in looking for artifacts? It's
That's
Dr.
true.
Shelley Lona Afra. So I could see also her being in that, but yeah, having some presence.
Mhm.
It's a good question. If those are two books or one, I don't know.
I feel
But
like they'll go for 2 just for the A, for
yeah,
marketing, and B, because
yeah,
I
for the
just I
dollars.
just I think they will for the dollars, and also I think, I just think
Yeah,
they probably wanna keep Afra kinda doing her own thing.
yeah, that's true.
Like, have her own
Um,
wacky adventures.
yeah, and then they can kind of tie things in and have them go off and do different things.
Yeah.
And there's this whole burgeoning New Republic story that we haven't gotten ever yet, at least in canon. So, um, yeah, it's a. I mean, I guess we got a bit with Daniel Jose Older with Last Shot, which I did read. But yeah, so that seems clearer to me now than it ever has. So yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
so. I don't think there's going to be a separate Bounty Hunters book. It might be some kind of Afra Artifacts Adventures book that's going to
Mhm.
involve Luke, but Luke is also going to be involved in the. That's my confusion. My wondering is Luke's going to be involved in the New Republic story and in the Jedi Artifact story. So yeah,
Um,
something about that is going to happen.
oh, by the way, there was a really good someone on a forum actually thought of who might actually be the villain for the post Jakku pre Mando story
Mm,
if Adelhart bites the dust.
yeah,
He thinks it could be Grand General Kenner Loring.
he's in from the Battle of Jakku books.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
says while Rax is fated to die on Jakku and Adelhart's days are probably numbered with Luke and Lando determined to end him, Loring is a prime position to inherit the rewards associated with being last man standing.
Mhm.
On the other hand, seeing as all his appearances in the Maxi series have been playing off Rax, Adelhard, or Rax, he was clearly introduced so he could be part of the Imperial Remnant High Command for
Yeah.
interim between the death of Rax and return of Gideon. Practically a lock.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
could be
The
that
other
guy.
villain, unless it's here's just thinking of this now. It's a main line including Luke and Afra and artifacts,
Mhm.
and some arcs are that. Some arcs are Leia Mon Mothma, New Republic,
That's possible.
and there's another book that is the Imperial Remnant,
That'd be cool. I don't know.
and
That'd be interesting.
maybe working with the Bounty Hunters. I mean, that's another thing is Adelhard's working with the Kajimi
Hmm.
Spice Runners
Hmm.
and the Acolytes of the Beyond. So there's space in there. I mean, yeah, we're getting the Vader book that's set 30 years later.
Hmm.
This is another, yeah, this is another. I mean, another two great politics stories going on at the same time because dealing with the aftermath of the Empire, right? So
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
be kind of curious to see what they kind of want to just put in one big book and what they're gonna kind of space
yeah,
out into separate things.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I hope we hear about them either before celebration or during.
I'm thinking during. I think this is gonna be during.
Okay, so you'll think we're gonna actually after Jakku get some breathers before
Yeah.
for the main line. Interesting.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, again, the January 29th, and then I think yeah. I mean, with we have like I was saying, we have all these short runs
Hmm.
coming out, and then you know, celebration. Alex Segura, this is the main line, comes out in June or whenever.
Nice.
That's
Okay.
my thought.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
my current what I'm sticking with currently. I don't know. It's
that's
all
true.
speculation, but I'm doing my best here.
You never know. You might be right. Although no, might be right, proven wrong tomorrow. News mainline
You
announced.
never know.
Yeah, I hope so. I love it when we gate ourselves.
I hope not. No, I hope not, because people are paying. Here's the thing, and this is the thing with. I said this after New York Comic Con is people are paying. It's in Japan. People are paying good money, spending good time to go across the planet, or and they're picking up. They're putting out the whole operation there. I mean, there's a lot of folks in Japan who can handle things. Not saying they aren't. Um,
Be polite to the in Japan Star Wars fans. Don't.
but yeah, but that's the thing. And that's the thing why, okay, I understand why they'd want to have a Mando and Grogu in-house trailer. So I want them to, if people are going to make the effort to go to this comic panel,
Mhm,
missing out on something else, maybe they better give us the big announcement. That's the thing. I was disappointed with New York Comic Con, right? When
mhm,
we didn't get the announcement,
mhm.
it's like, is this because they're saving it for Celebration, or because they don't understand that Celebration is where you're supposed to do these things? Is where you get the biggest buzz. And again, that's this question of how again, I'm gonna be harsh here. How in touch is Lucasfilm marketing announcement strategy nowadays? Back in 2015, 2017, huge. 2019, I remember the Rise of Skywalker panel and the Palpatine cackle.
When was that first trailer? When
Those
did
or that would have been,
that was a
yeah,
year.
2019.
Ok-
Well, at least I know
Oh,
the well, you know what I mean the like the Rise of Skywalker panel. I know about the first
oh,
trailer, but the big impact, you
right.
know.
Oh, but actually, that actually does make me question my point now because that's like
Yeah.
that wasn't even a year before we got our first trailer for Rise of Skywalker.
Was it the first trailer? I guess it would have been. And that was the name too.
That was the name and the trailer. We had to.
Yeah.
I remember because we had to wait for so long to get the dang name.
But I
Uh,
mean that's because when Celebration happened to be and when the film happened to be coming out, I think.
that's true.
With Mandalorian Grogu, we have the name, we have the logo now.
That's
So,
true.
um, but yeah, I remember, and I think folks remember 2015, all the comics being announced, and and was it 2017 High Republic, or I guess High Republic had its own thing, but
Mhm.
yeah, or at least that whole Project Luminous panel, whatever that was. So like that's the thing, is it's still the place to make these big announcements. Marvel still does Hall H, right? And they do D23. If Star Wars doesn't do these things at Celebration, then when are they gonna, you know
Marvel doesn't have its own convention. I think probably maybe we would want one.
yeah.
Star Wars does.
Yeah,
Otherwise, why would we have our own convention? Um,
exactly. That's kind of my point. I mean, yes, it's great to gather and to have fun. And like May the 4th, for example, I don't want announcements on May the 4th. That's for just parties, right? Uh, in person and online or whatever. Celebration is for announcements and for gathering and for parties, right? It's for both.
right.
And either they get that or they don't. And that includes, I'm saying that includes comics, that includes novels. Either they get that or they don't.
They announced any comics
And
on
rent.
20, Celebration 2023, or actually probably not because there was lots of still things ongoing.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think
the
back to what last Celebration was like because I
yeah,
remember. Because obviously we had the movie thing, which I was like,
mhm,
okay, that's a big signal for me.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, because well, yeah, things were still ongoing. Like this is when the question is up in the air now for 2025.
yeah, because a lot of it's still kind of like I mean, then year of transition, everything's kind of a mystery
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. Outside of obviously Mandalorian and Grogu,
yeah,
in terms of they gave us a date.
hmm
They said they're done filming. Filoni said they're done filming. I have seen some footage. Um,
yeah,
so there's more concrete there, but everything else
hmm
is kind of a mystery. And I'm
right.
curious to see if they kind of indicate what the transition what we're transitioning to.
I
Uh,
mean, another thing. What if we do get something about the Filoni film?
wouldn't that be
You
too?
know,
I feel like that. Well,
because when
I
do
feel
we
like
think that's coming out?
2028.
Okay, So then we'll more likely get something even more. What if we get a title? What if we get a logo at least?
Um,
Like Filoni comes out for 5 minutes at the showcase saying at the end, this is what this is.
I mean that's possible. I think that's
Yeah.
like I mean, depending on how much they want to.
Yeah.
Because again, you don't want to, there's also the risk of announcing too early as well. Um,
Hence the Rayside rule.
I mean, even look at
Yeah.
something like Marvel with Blade.
Yeah.
That I mean, that's sort of their one movie with an issue.
Yeah.
And also all these movies. Actually, none of these movies even have titles. Like the Ray
Mhm.
film, we call it New Jedi Order, but I don't know. It
Mhm.
could be called
Yeah.
Ray and the Students of the Force or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's a good title.
Although,
Or
yeah.
or the Dawn of the
Yeah.
Jedi movie could be called The First Jedi. I don't know. Jedi number 1. Um,
Jedi Prime.
Jedi Prime.
They have that name.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
Filoni film could just be called Filoni film.
We don't watch it. Can you imagine?
Oh God!
It's gonna be called Heir to the Empire. Come on, it's gonna just be Heir to the Empire.
I swear, if it's called but imagine if it's called Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if they'll ever
I
bring
don't know.
that
Let's
back.
just
That's another one where
Yeah.
I feel like again like that they announced that one.
Well,
Well, there were more reasons I think than the whole.
I was gonna
characters, but
say, I would say, the big dud is with the Kang problem. I hope Star Wars doesn't have another uh Cara Dune / Kang type of issue. You know what I mean?
But Marvel, I think honestly, Marvel got the worst end of the stick. They were building him up to be our
They
Thanos, and
were,
then that all
yeah,
went downhill.
yeah,
Leave with Cara Dune, it's like, oh, who cares?
yeah.
Um,
That's true.
you
Yeah,
know, yeah. So I mean, obviously, I do think the Filoni film will happen, but I don't know how far they want to hype that yet.
yeah.
But yeah, that'd be interesting. That will be interesting.
I mean, this raises one last bit of speculation.
Right before we get to the next last big thing.
Well, yeah, right before we get to a bit about Celebration.
hmm
So, and there's D23 in 2026, right?
So,
Celebration 2027. To be 10 years of Last Jedi, 50 years of A New Hope.
oh dang!
There's got to be only one place that's going to be, right? That's going to be Anaheim again, right?
I hope so. Please, please,
Yeah,
for me,
yeah,
for my
yeah.
sake, do it for me.
Their county that you're right there in.
I know, but do it for a minute.
It could be in Irvine.
That'd be nice. I don't think we have a convention center here, but
Yeah.
but yeah, Anaheim, please, please.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, yeah, either that or Orlando. But I mean, yeah. Well, I guess Chicago was 20. No, Orlando was 2017. Why am I blanking on that? Yeah,
or
Chicago was 2019.
do it, or well, it wouldn't be good for me, but
Hmm.
do it in San Francisco. Do it in George's home of San Francisco.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I don't know if they have the facilities there. That's the thing. We know Anaheim has the facilities. It has Disney.
That's
Yeah. So
it's in California, but yeah. But
Mhm.
speaking of anniversaries, this year we have Revenge of the Sith at 20, and TFA is now a full 10-year-old. They
Wow.
grew up so fast.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith has been in college for 2 years, and TFA's almost in middle school.
Yeah.
Almost done with elementary school.
No, Revenge of the Sith started university at 16. They're now starting law school.
Nice.
They're this overachiever.
But yeah, that's another thing. I am curious to see what is done with any of these anniversaries.
Mhm.
Quite frankly, obviously 20 is definitely has always been kind of the big year. It's actually interesting. Like we
Mhm.
get one movie that's a 10-year, one's a 20, and those are big anniversaries. Obviously at their own, regardless.
Yeah.
Next year will be Rogue One at 10, so I'm
Yep.
hoping for something.
Yep.
Yeah, I am curious to see, like they did re-release Phantom Menace last year or this
It
year?
was last year, the 25th.
Last
For the
year, or
25th anniversary.
yeah, I mean they did it for Phantom Menace,
Mhm.
and Revenge of the Sith at least has always had the reputation of like, or even among the contrarians of like this is actually the good prequel, or the least worst one,
Sure.
where Phantom Menace was always the polarizing one, for years. So I hope if they're like, well, if you did it for Phantom Menace, I don't know why you wouldn't re-release
Yeah.
um for episode 3. sort of like the last of the Lucas saga.
Mhm.
I can already see the marketing right
Right.
there. It's like special and whatnot.
Mhm.
End of an era. Um, and I'm actually curious if they do anything for TFA as well, if they want to hype that up and see what they can get out of it. Obviously, I said that Mask of Fear was a Revenge of the Sith anniversary tie-in. That's in
Mhm.
my eyes, at least. I'm curious if there's actually anything more direct than that in terms of like books that they focus
Yeah.
on. Like I feel like Living Force was a Phantom Menace anniversary
Yes.
book. Yeah, Shattered Glass.
Glass Abyss.
Glass Abyss, the Mace Windu one was I
Mm.
feel like obviously about Mace and Qui Gon,
Mhm.
so that's a Phantom Menace one. So I'll be curious to see if they do some Revenge of the Sith focused
Yeah.
announcements coming up with anything book wise, or even with TFA book wise. I mean, I guess Kylo Ren. There's one
Yeah.
right there. So yeah, we haven't heard anything yet. I mean, it's only January, and
Mhm.
I don't remember when they announced the Phantom Menace in theaters re-release. How early that was?
Mhm.
Because there was a limited time
It was in
thing.
May. I think it was. My gut is telling me like March.
Okay, so
Something like that. Yeah.
you know, small limited time thing.
Yeah.
So we might hear something. It's still early
Mhm.
in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope so. That's all I can say. Really, it's like I'm curious to see
I
like
more than hope so.
through the year if they
Like,
do something or not.
yeah. They had better.
Mhm.
They had better. It's my favorite film of all time. I haven't seen it in theaters in 20 years. They had better release this on in theaters. Be really nice if they did the 3D. Just saying
Ugh,
really
I hate
nice.
3D, so no, I'd be okay if they
Well,
didn't.
not everyone, not all of them will be in 3D. If they gave a 3D option,
3D option's
it
fine, but if it's
would be
only
really
in 3D.
nice.
Mm,
But regardless, I mean, so the Phantom Menace. So I was chatting with Dom about this.
mm,
He was saying, yeah, the Phantom Menace had to be the first one. They couldn't do Attack of the Clones as the first one at 20. But the moment, like, but when Revenge of the Sith, if they put this in theaters, it's gonna pack it out. Like, Phantom Menace packed it out. Revenge of the Sith is gonna pack it out. It's gonna have a run. It's taken on a life in the wider fandom. It's gotten Kenobi. It has its own spin-off series in Kenobi, right?
pretty much.
Attack of Ahsoka has
Mhm.
some sort of hint at it. Um,
I
it's
don't
been
see it that Ahsoka that much for
a little
Mandalorian.
bit, but Kenobi obviously more so. Um, I'm not alone by any stretch in it being my favorite film of all time. They have released, so I think it's mostly for comics. That they've released the logos for Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens. I suspect a lot of that will be variants. So usually what they do is
Mhm.
kind of these like series of variants of moments throughout the film that will be problematic on my wallet, but um,
That's
we'll
always
see.
fun.
Yeah, getting all those variants. I'm going to see that film if it comes out. I got to see it at least 3 times for episode 3 in the theater. Yeah,
It's
because
a
I
good
mean,
thing we don't do that for all the movies. Otherwise, nine
yeah,
or eight, like oh gosh, there
but
goes our.
I've been longing to see just the Battle of Coruscant again, just that opening shot dropping in. I still remember before 3D was really a thing. Yeah, Avatar had come out in 2005. It feeling like it was 3D, even if it was 2D. It felt like you felt the depth, you felt the size of it, and yeah. So you all know what I think. You all know how I feel, and it will give even more love and more life to this spectacular film. That again has aged so wonderfully well. Yeah, people have the criticism of it, and they're fair. I think, even though they don't affect me in the same way. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's there. They got to do it. They just I can't. I'd be so I'll be butthurt if they don't release this on in theaters. And yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe that's the novel release in in November. Maybe something. I mean, they've done that trilogy, that Legends trilogy that includes the novelization, right? They've done that as essential Legends already, right? Cloak of Deception and
I don't,
Rise of Darth Vader. I
I don't know if
think
they.
so.
No, I don't think. No, first off, Labyrinth of Evil.
Oh yeah, yeah,
No,
that one.
no, I don't think they have done those ones
So
yet.
they probably will if they
I hope.
haven't.
Oh, I hope so.
There we go. Um, I mean, even Bad Batch, right? The beginning of that Bad Batch had, I mean, Order 66. We've gotten so much Order 66. Well,
Hmm.
here's the first Order 66. Here's where we first see it
That's
originally.
true.
Tyler showing this memory. Yeah, I was following. I was sitting so close. Yeah, it was so perfectly shot. That first sequence. It's just unreal how well that was shot. All CG uh, out in space there. Yeah. So again, I'm gonna keep gushing. I'm just excited that the for the Revenge of the Fifth at 20 party is here. There's gonna be a panel celebration. There was an Attack of the Clones panel in Anaheim.
Oh, did we know
Uh,
that? Is that been confirmed?
there's got to be. There was an Attack of the Clones at 20 panel in
That's true.
Anaheim, and
That's true.
so and there was I think there was there a Phantom Menace? No, there wouldn't have been, but
We didn't
um
get one. There was no celebration, so no.
yeah, I mean, was there one in Chicago in 20 or whenever 2019 was? Um, so yeah, there's like, I mean, it's so now among Star Wars fans, it's so universally beloved that they got to celebrate it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know in terms of content other than Mask of Fear.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm here for it.
Do you think they'll do both TFA and a Revenge of the Sith re-release, or I don't
They
mean I don't
might,
know. I mean
yeah.
I don't know how they make those decisions. I don't even know what I mean.
I
With
mean, TFA would be in December, so there's time to spread it out.
It's true.
You know,
I mean, I wouldn't you do episode 3 in May? That's what
yeah,
I
you
would do.
do.
Like
You
just
do Revenge of the Sith in May and Force Awakens in December. Yeah,
that's what I would do at least.
that work. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I mean, yeah.
Hmm.
It would be weird just to me if they didn't do it because
Yeah,
they did it for Phantom Menace. I get why again why they didn't do it for Attack of the Clones. It's like Attack of the Clones in 20. We didn't do Phantom Menace yet. We're doing weird
yeah.
backwards order.
So that's what Dom was saying. But yeah,
And also, and also, maybe there's still a bit of that. Attack of the Clones is still the weakest one, while
yeah.
Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith are always been more liked. Um, who knows?
I'm
I don't know.
alive. Sorry. Yeah,
I don't
you're
know
good.
who makes those decisions. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I would hope so.
Hmm. Yeah.
I feel like we would have. No, I probably won't hear it until like March or something.
Yeah, probably.
Probably close to
And I
it.
mean,
But
I know, and people can independently. There's an independent theater that
that's
shows
true.
Star Wars films all the time. Just
Yeah,
do that too. I mean, it's probably not hard for an independent theater to just ask for the rights and pay for the rights. Probably costs something, but you know, Lucas will understand why. Like they showed A New Hope last year, that theater.
that's true.
So,
They did. I
yeah.
remember because they were both Phantom Menace and A New Hope.
Yeah.
Was it? I thought it was Phantom Menace and Empire last year.
Did they show them? I
Oh
just
no,
know all just that theater
that was you. That
yeah.
was
As in that theater just happened to show A New Hope
right, right. Phantom
because they
Menace
wanted to.
was the official release.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I wonder who gets to decide those sorts of things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, if they can do it for Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
uh, why not?
Yeah. So
So yeah, I would hope so. I
and
would
then
really.
so good.
Well, I know. I was just gonna say if they do both, I really do hope it's if they do May and December, so they can spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to pick. Um, or
Yeah.
like Lord knows, imagine if I had to pick between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. Ah,
Yeah.
if I could only pick one, like that would be hard. That would be a hard choice for
It'd
me.
be hard for you, yeah. I love Rogue One, but
I think it'd be harder for a lot of people who aren't you though, because I think you gotta. I
true.
think Rogue One is up there
Oh, I
with a
agree.
lot of fans, maybe
Yeah.
even more so. I don't know.
I agree. I agree. Also, I'm gonna give Force Awakens another chance here. I'm gonna definitely watch it. I haven't watched it in a few years. You know, it's at the bottom of my Star Wars saga list, just because it's so derivative of a New Hope. But
Mhm.
just thinking, I'm going to focus on what's new about it, what's interesting about it, what's exciting about it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, things are changing. I am actually starting to see again kind of a turn on the prequels a little bit
yeah,
now that sort of our generation's like now it's not like oh they think it's like oh your old generation's like you kind
yeah.
of are
The
letting
turn
your
on the
nostalgic
sequels, you mean? Yeah,
no I'm talking about like how younger fans are looking at the prequels now like you're letting your nostalgia goggles get the best of you. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Now it's kind of the
Nah,
opposite.
that's too bad. I don't need that. Don't tell me that.
No,
No.
I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of more. I've seen a lot more kind of
Mhm.
like Clone Wars and your nostalgia goggles are letting getting the best of you these days from Twitters and the fandom side of things.
The internet isn't real, like you said. So yeah, just to say, of my list of 9, my rankings, Force Awakens is the last for me. Which isn't to say I don't like it. I like it. It's just I'd rather watch any of the other ones.
It's a good thing they're not being. I kind part of me would kind of be interested to see like if you put Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens re-release, what would happen? Just to kind
There's
of.
a vote, a poll. I
I'm
would see both, but
I would. I mean, I
yeah,
also I also had this joke of which generation has the least amount of money but can still go to the theaters? Our
yeah,
generation, we have a dollar. Gen Z, they got a penny.
interesting.
Yay,
I mean, I
economics.
have Cineplex membership, so
That's true. But you can afford a Cineplex membership. Can they? Can the younger
true.
kids afford it? I don't know.
Full time job.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
we are privileged.
Mhm.
But no, I hope again if they do both, it's spread out. I hope they just do both. Period.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
because 10th anniversary, 20th anniversary. Did they do any? Let's see. What was the last 10th anniversary of a thing? Is this the
Um,
first 10th anniversary of every
yeah,
of?
it's got to be.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because it was the first one. I mean, in 2015, but I don't think they did anything for Revenge of the Sith in 2015.
Oh, that's right. That was too
Because
early.
they're like,
Uh,
ew, prequels, ew. Yeah, no,
Now it's less you equals and like, okay, we get it. You have your moment in the sun. Now move away. You're old fans.
we can share. We can share.
Um,
Let's share the spotlight. It's fine.
um.
Let me have my Revenge of the Sith at 20. Is all I'm saying.
Oh,
Because
I hope so. I
yeah,
hope so too. I want to see it in theaters again.
yeah,
Um,
mhm,
I actually hope. I mean, I hope they do the 10th. The biggest reason why I want them to do something for the 10th anniversary of
yeah,
Force Awakens is then that almost like somewhat guarantees that I get a 10th anniversary Rogue One, and I can see that in
yeah.
theaters next year.
Oh, yeah, that I can definitely see.
But then again, it's like, well, we're getting Mando and Grogu. Well, maybe for December because they don't have anything for December.
Yeah,
So
true. I mean, I think I saw a Rogue One at 5, like in a park outside. They had this inflatable screen. They just
you know
decided to
what?
put. Yeah.
They re-released it for Andor. There was like a brief re-release because of Andor season 1,
Yes.
and I
Did I
missed
not?
it.
I missed it too. I think.
I know. Dang it.
Yeah.
So maybe for next, maybe 10th anniversary. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really hope so. I hope they both get a re-release.
Hmm.
One's in May, one's in December.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure who decides those things, so might not be Lucasfilm that gets to decide those things. It might
Hmm.
be someone at Disney who just, you know, says, "Here you go." Uh,
Yeah, because the distributors in the
right.
U.S. at least legally, because it's the Paramount decrees or something like that. Legally, the distributor has to be a separate company from the producer.
Yeah,
I don't know if those are still binding,
Disney's
but
kind of got a bit of a loophole because when those
yeah,
were made, Disney was not a big studio.
right.
So there's some rigmarole there. So I
Yeah.
don't know, but
Like they have a distributor that's a subsidiary that's not the same as Lucasfilm. It's not the same as Marvel.
right,
It's its own distributor.
right. So
Hmm.
and the re-releases are never like the big super marketed things.
True.
It's just kind of like, hey fans, this is kind of just for you because we know we'll make money.
Yeah.
Get your special Fandango ticket. You only get a couple of weeks to go.
Yeah.
Um, 'Cause I remember that was for Phantom Menace, 'cause I had to really, like, look and, like, they're only, like, limited time offer.
Mhm.
But yeah, outside of re-releases, I guess, and we'll kind of pack it up. Do
Mm.
you talked about variants. Do you think they'll do any other kind of special tie-in, a book, a comic? Uh,
Mm.
I doubt a video game, but,
I mean, social media stuff,
some social media
possibly.
stuff, that'd be
I
nice.
guess super cut of all the Order 66 scenes. I
Ooh,
mean,
maybe
that's
some
already on YouTube, but
more
yeah,
deleted scenes that we haven't seen before.
or the ones that we have, but we need them.
That's true.
Speaking of Mon Mothma and Padme,
I doubt they'll
yeah,
do, like, a special editions thing and put the scenes back in. Although, maybe they'll share them on social media, that'll be cool.
yeah,
Um, especially
yeah,
for TFA, actually, because TFA's got probably a lot of stuff that
hmm
we don't know about still.
true.
I mean, it's got, like, a whole different several different versions and incarnations.
Hmm.
Um,
I
so
mean, maybe a Padme novel,
ooh,
uh,
that'd be
but
nice. Another
like
one.
maybe set just before,
Ooh, I'd like that. I'd read that.
and more of an adult novel, not by K. Johnston.
I'd like that too.
Um,
Um, Wish
but yeah,
Alexander Freed was doing a Padme novel before. That would be interesting.
yeah,
Something that really gets into her political career. You
yeah,
know,
true. I mean, I'd rather something like Claudia Gray,
her too. She'd be
you know,
cool.
or
Uh,
Lydia Kang. So speaking of, so Lydia Kang uh, wrote a good chunk of the. This is another thing I didn't mention in the High Republic, the Insider short stories,
mhm.
and had a pregnant character in that.
Ooh,
And a
nice.
pretty like a pregnant Republic Defense Coalition officer
Ooh,
who's
that's cool.
very action oriented. And so Pika Adren and her husband Josh is like, "What are you doing putting our child in danger like that?" So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I guess she isn't that pregnant at the beginning of the film, but
that's true.
yeah, I guess.
But
Well, I guess you'd have to be. I mean,
oh no, you're
shoot,
right. Duh. Yeah, she's like a
what are we
week
talking about?
before
What
getting
am I
ready to.
talking about? Like
Yeah.
in Clone Wars, we see in Clone Wars season 7, we see the bump. So yeah, I mean that'll be fascinating, right? I mean, we get a bit of that in Battle of Jakku. I
Mhm.
talked about the Ben Solo cameo in Battle of Jakku. You
Yep.
know, get uh Mom and Uncle Luke have their cameo there too. Just
Mhm.
what is it like to be pregnant and a professional politician at the end of democracy? It's
Yeah.
fascinating. And it'll flesh out. I mean, that's the main criticism of Revenge of the Sith. That Padme gets silenced, right?
Oh god, yeah. I would
And
like
so we'll flesh that out more.
tell like a side cool book that's like all of
Yeah.
Padme's perspective through Revenge of the Sith, and maybe even a little
Yeah.
before and
Yeah.
she
That'd be
dies.
interesting.
But yeah, yeah, hoping for some re-releases for
Yes.
two very exciting films
Yes.
in 2025. And I think with that,
Uh-huh.
it got late. I lost track of time for the
That's
first
okay.
time by the end here, but
Yep.
yeah, I think we have the theme of 2025. I that's the 2025 theme, everybody. Year of transition. That's how I'm going to
Yeah.
view this year.
Mhm.
Everything kind of in transition. Everything kind of moving now to the next phase.
Yeah.
Kind of the kind of what the push is. And I'm
Yeah.
curious to see what this transition leads to. It's exciting, it's scary, and it's mysterious, and it's fun. So yeah,
Yeah. Maybe last thought, transition, but the transition moment where we pivot towards what is next.
yeah, pretty
Right.
much.
Decisively say this is what's coming. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Do that. And on that note, it's a good place to wrap things up. Get my notes back down here. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us in the comments, for watching. Always appreciate it. Always appreciate the engagement, and the appreciate not just the engagement, and it's a crass term. You're joining, hanging out, chiming in, letting us know your thoughts. Let us know what you thought of our conversation tonight. What are you looking forward to most
Hmm.
in 25? It's not even the thing we answered. Maybe
Hmm.
we'll get to that next week. What are you looking forward to most in 2025? What do you think of Skeleton Crew and where that's going in 22 hours from now?
Woo!
Also, what'd you get for Christmas or holidays for anything Star Wars related? or otherwise. And then, of course, the big theme. What do you think of this transition to film, to the next publishing, to comics and all that? This decisive turn that this year likely represents, hopefully. So in Star Wars stories, please let us know in the comments below, or on socials. I'll get to that in a minute. Please do give this video a like and a share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Joel, it's been another great discussion. Yeah, I don't mind going along for the first one here. Thanks for guiding us through it. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Blue Sky at GID20234. I'm still on Twitter on GID2021. Again, GID2021 on Twitter. Of course, you can find us on Blue Sky at Ion Canon, EYECANPOD. Just put the Blue Sky thing, and that's the same for Twitter as well.
No, it's not. Hold on. Twitter is EYEONCANONPOD. Blue Sky is just Ion Canon.
Okay.
Just be clear.
Right.
Especially for the listeners. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. And of course, you can follow us on the Star Wars Underworld Discord. Link in the description below. We'll probably have a game night tonight. We'll chill and relax.
Tonight or Friday?
On Friday, yeah, not tonight. Duh. I'm getting. See, this is what happens.
I'm keeping you on track. There we go.
Thank you. My brain getting fried. Yeah, on Friday, hopefully, and we'll just hang out and relax and have some fun. Yeah, and I'm excited for 2025 in Star Wars. I think it's going to be a good year, Star Wars wise.
Yes, it's gonna be fun. You can follow me personals MNEUG1138. It's on Instagram and Threads, and Blue Sky MNEUG1138. Twitter NEUG45. Also Instagram beaches.foodie FOODIE. Got some nice pizza the other day. I don't think I put a photo of that. I got, what did I do? I was in, when it was in Regina, I got some great poutine. Excellent beef brisket poutine. At a place called Leopold's, which I'm hoping they get a Toronto location. So if you want to bless your timeline with food, please follow me there as well. And then all the Ion Canon socials. Stay tuned for something else I'm cooking up, thinking up. I need to get on board with that. I'll let you all know soon. But yes,
can you give us a hint?
I'll give you a hint when I hit end stream. I'll tell you.
Okay.
But yeah, until then, we do know Tractor Beam this Wednesday. I believe just Last Stand number 1 and 2 and Echoes of Fear number 4. To check and make sure if my memory is serving me correctly about that. I think that's right. But we'll dive into the finale of Echoes of Fear and the beginning of the end of Battle of Jakku, right here, 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Underworld, Wednesday on Underworld, Underworld, YouTube. I'm getting tired. YouTube and Twitch and Ion Canon Twitch as well. That does it for issue 143. Next week, we're talking about, are we all the Republic? Galactic identity in a galaxy far, far away. It's gonna be political.
We're all the Empire.
Are we all the Empire? Are we all the First Order? All the
separatists for Count Dooku.
Sure. All that fun political discussion that we do on the Ion Canon podcast. But until then, Joel, let's blow this thing and head home.